got in an accident.
Are you okay?
I don't know.
Okay, did you call the police yet?
Yeah, I did.
I'm gonna call an advocate and you can tell us both at the same time, okay?
Hey, Sarah, your dad told me that you need help.
So, is there anything that I need to do, or...?
Just focus on getting better.
With an advocate on your side, you're never alone.
Today's the day! And look who I just met.
Hey, Dad.
You deserve a worry-free recovery. You deserve an advocate.
This is the Monty Show, the truth in sports talk streaming. When you want unbiased opinions about your favorite team without the spin, all you have to do is find the Monty Show, streaming live and available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on YouTube. And now, here's Monty.
Football Friday on the Monty Show, Friday, October 18th, 2024. As always, the Monty Show is presented by The Advocates at theadvocates.com, the best injury attorneys in the business. It is raining and snowing outside. Winter has arrived. A lot of people aren't ready to drive on the roads when it's winter. A lot of people aren't ready to drive when it's ice, rain, sleet, and snow. You didn't deserve for them to rear end you or slam into you, but you do deserve an advocate. Get to theadvocates.com. Clear, risk-free advice. That's what you know you're going to get from the advocates. All you need to know when you get in an accident is you need somebody to give you that advice. You need somebody that you can count on to fight for you so you can get back to the best version of yourself. And the best part is when you work with the advocates, you never reach into your pocket. No, friends, you don't pay the advocates unless and until they win your case. Chat with an injury attorney live online at theadvocates.com. Good morning. Some shout outs to start Football Friday. Jay Chapman, the first one in.
Wow.
Okay. Matt Ritson, West Coast Commissioner Gumby. Good morning.
Stay hard.
First day on the equipment. The Big Lubbock, boy, Texas Tech fans yesterday losing their minds in the comments section over our commentary, our beliefs, our strong opinions, well, in statistical analysis, but I can't remember who was one of the Texas Tech fans in the comment section was like, get off your ass and do some research. You're lazy. Even though we did and used statistical analysis to tell you how poorly Texas Tech has played defensively.
Yeah.
But we should, we don't know. We don't know nothing.
We don't watch football, so I mean,
Lopes fan Gabe with a good reminder. Always live your life by hitting the like button on the Monty Show. Please do that. As we get into Friday, and what would a Friday be without Gloria Nevarez, the commissioner of the Mountain West, yesterday at Mountain West Conference Basketball Media Day, talking about how the conference is on firm footing, talking about how the conference is moving in the right direction. And I guess the question I have is, do you agree with Gloria Nevarez when she's talking about, I don't know, here's why UTEP fits in the league?
Well, UTEP certainly has competed against many of our schools in previous iterations of conference realignment. There's a nice rivalry between them and New Mexico. They fit in our footprint. I was so impressed with their leadership, AD, president, and their excitement to be in the league and their excitement to come in and compete at a high level right away.
The Rebel Report right there with Gloria Nevarez. I think UTEP absolutely is a fit in their footprint. I think UTEP absolutely is one of those universities that it almost does not matter what you have done on the field. You needed a stronghold in Texas, and El Paso gives you that. And I also think it's very interesting that when you look at the competition for expansion, I really feel like right now the Mountain West is winning, because I think the other question is, where does the Mountain West go now? You've added Hawaii as a full member. You've added UTEP as a full member. You are back to the minimum standard, so you are secure. And I think that allows the Mountain West to look ahead and be able to be more aggressive. And Jake, I think they have to go basketball only here. I would be all in on St. Mary's.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to grow that side of your business. I think that, the Mountain West is obviously behind the Pac-12 when it comes to basketball, in my opinion. So being able to go out and get, St. Mary's as an example, or another solid basketball brand would really help the Mountain West. And I think, we've talked all about this week, if you've been listening to the show, that basketball now more than ever is a priority. It has to be, because football is so contingent on you getting to the college football playoff and being really good with selling your building out, or like all these different areas of a football program in order for you to make money. That for the Mountain West and its member institutions, obviously their buildings are a bit smaller. You're not getting to the college football playoff with regularity. Like, there are a lot of things missing in that formula that makes it hard to thrive as an athletic department in football. And so for the Mountain West, basketball is a priority 100%. And for the Mountain West, you have to improve that side of your business in order to make sure that your member, institutions can be really good financially. And part of, what Nevarez talked about yesterday was, like we just said, like being on good footing for the conference. She talked a lot about how people are bought into this idea that, hey, basketball is really important and we got to make sure we improve in that area. So I absolutely would agree that you've got to add basketball membership going forward.
Yeah, and I think Gloria Nevarez talked a lot about that. And I think we've talked a lot about it on this show, that while football is going to be your main revenue generator, it is imperative that you are earning tournament shares and that you are playing in big games. And I think that Gloria Nevarez yesterday at Mountain West Conference Basketball Media Day echoed those thoughts.
8 is the magic number for NCAA, and it's anchored in football language, but really for us, basketball, because of who we are, is super important. And, we're going to continue to analyze that. And, if there are opportunities out there that make us stronger, we're going to jump on them. You saw our most recent, UTEP and Hawaii. And so we're going to take some time over these next couple weeks. And, we've been looking at memberships since I started in 2023. So it's not like we're starting from scratch. We have all the data, we have all the information. So just really making informed decisions. But like I said, those things that make us stronger in the areas we want to continue to grow and expand, we'll continue to explore those.
Yeah, I think she's exactly right. I mean, you're always, as a G5, you're always looking at expansion. I think the revenue challenges facing programs like St. Mary's, if St. Mary's wanted to be a power league. Well, St. Mary's doesn't want to be in a power league. I think Gonzaga showed you that there is, for basketball primarily, schools that rely on basketball for revenue. Gonzaga, St. Mary's, Grand Canyon comes to mind. I think you have to stay in the G5. I don't think that you can afford to pay what is required and put out the money that is required to compete at a power level. And I think that's exactly what Gonzaga told you by not joining the Big 12 and choosing G5 Pac-12 over the Big 12. And I think if I'm Gloria Nevarez, there is no question that I am chasing St. Mary's. But I also think there's a lot of value in chasing Grand Canyon. Grand Canyon has a very good athletic department. Obviously, I think we all are aware of their basketball program, but their baseball program's very solid as well. Across the board, they have great facilities. They have, I think, one of the best basketball barns in the West at Grand Canyon. I think that's where I would be headed if I were the Mountain West.
Yeah, and Grand Canyon has shown you that they can get into the tournament with regularity. And I think that, as a conference, that's what you need. You have to have a good presence in the basketball tournament every single year to earn that extra money. And I think that coming out of this, this turmoil, if you will, coming out of this realignment and then expansion and rebuilding your conference, again, building a basketball juggernaut, if you're the Mountain West, has to be a top priority because it's accessible money. I can't emphasize enough that the college football playoff just is not, you don't have access to that in the Mountain West. You can, make money through ad partners. You can make money through ticket sales. There are ways to make money through football, but But basketball, you can reach the highest of highs. Like San Diego State has shown us that. Right now, obviously, they're not going to be part of the Mountain West's long-term future here. But the point is that the Mountain West, if they were to add programs like GCU, St. Mary's, like that allows you to earn those extra tournament shares and make more money. And so I also think this doesn't even take into consideration that the tournament is probably going to expand. So the more teams you can get in, the better that is for your conference, especially with, a super league looming, especially with a bunch of change happening down the line here.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's one of those things where basketball is a priority. And I'll go back to the question that seemingly tweaks everybody when we get into this. Who's in a better spot, the Mountain West or the Pac-12? And I think Gloria Nevarez talking about how their grant of rights is secure through 2031, that they have commitments. Obviously, UNLV and Air Force are the two that everybody was pointing at. And I still maintain in the land of G5 conferences that UNLV was a critical win for the Mountain West. To keep UNLV in that conference, I think absolutely saved the conference. If UNLV had gone to the Pac-12, my goodness, I think this conference would have collapsed.
Right.
I truly think the Mountain West would have gone away. And I think if you go and listen to any of the interviews that Gloria Nevarez did at Mountain West Basketball Media Day, that's a big mouthful to say.
Yes, it is.
At Mountain West Basketball Media Day yesterday, if you go and listen to the interviews, and we've listened to a large number of them.
Yeah.
Every one of those interviews, she's talked about chaos. And she talked about how difficult the last several weeks had been. I think the Mountain West was very close to extinction.
Yeah, I mean, I think the chaos immediately following those four leaving for a new Pac-12, I mean, we shouldn't undersell that. We shouldn't discount that at all. And again, I think that the thing that's always stood out to me about Gloria is that she's very much educated around the ins and outs of contracts and like understands, because as a commissioner, it's not good enough just to know the contract. You also have to know the context that the school you're talking to is in, like the situation that the school is in as it relates to like a grant of rights or, that whole situation. Every time I hear her talk, it really stands out to me that she knows those. You can say to Gloria, hey, why was UTEP such a great fit? And she won't just tell you, oh, well, the money worked and, nice basketball program. She's going to talk about like, hey, their campus size. Hey, like, their presidents like what we like all this minutia stuff. Their
location, their footprint.
Yeah.
All the things that I think Gloria Nevarez is a great commissioner.
So
and I think
that helped them get out of that turmoil.
I agree. And I think the Pac-12's biggest mistake was not merging with the Mountain West and having Gloria Nevarez be the commissioner. I think that was the single biggest mistake. And you look at the money that is going to leave this conference, I think you got to tip your cap to people like San Diego State, who are going to leave millions of dollars in tournament shares behind with the Mountain West. And I think that now you've got to, if you're Gloria Nevarez, I think this messaging about we've got to win basketball games, we've got to build a basketball brand. I think that's a really good point. That's exactly where this conference needs to be, because I do think the Mountain West is on better footing than the Pac-12. The Pac-12 does not have membership. The Pac-12 does not have a grant of rights. The Pac-12 does not have a TV deal. I think that all of those things, we just assume that stuff is coming, but those are foundational, difficult issues to solve. Getting a media rights deal without membership and getting membership without a media rights deal, those two things in themselves are almost impossible to solve without the other, right? So you're betting against yourself. You're negotiating against yourself when you're talking to other universities, when you are talking to TV and distribution partners,
right?
You're betting against yourself at this point. And I think it's a really tough place to be in. And I continue to hear from people that I talk to that those AAC letters of intent are binding. And so my question is, hey, if you can't get Memphis or UTSA or Tulane South Florida. Where do you go? Where do you go?
Well,
You're already in litigation with the Mountain West. Are you really going to go and try and poach UNLV, who signed a binding agreement to stay in the Mountain West?
Yeah.
That doesn't seem smart.
Well, and I think to that point, if you consider a couple other things that Gloria said yesterday, Gloria obviously did a ton of interviews with Media Day, but multiple times talked about the fact that the goal was always to just merge the two together, the Pac-2 into the Mountain West, and create a new conference. That was like initially the mission. Like, obviously on this show, we talked all about how that would make perfect sense, like why it works.
They had long,
yeah,
deep discussions about it.
So when you think about the fact that that was the original goal, and that was where the conversation started, and now the Pac-7, I guess it is here. That's insane to me, because you had an opportunity to go in and basically have a TV deal handed to you.
Yes.
You had the opportunity to go in and have, reliability or firm footing through, 2031, 2032. And you chose not to go that route. And I do think when you've seen Gloria Nevarez saying, hey, I do feel a lot better because we are secure till 2032. We have a core membership, and I think everyone in the core membership is committed and in it to win it. The buy-in is really strong. What is she reading between the lines saying there? She's saying, hey, those 4 left, but we've been able to rebuild, and the folks that are in our core membership really believe in the vision.
Yeah,
and that's
100%.
what I think is difficult with the PAC situation, is that there's no way to be fully bought into the vision yet, because you don't have
a vision.
You don't really have a vision. That's the hard part.
You don't have the value to sell. That's the biggest problem right now. You don't have value to sell to TV, and you don't have TV to sell to as a value proposition to membership. And I think it just leaves this stank hanging in the air. I mean, you're crop dusting yourself repeatedly.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably too much, but you have this smoke hanging in the air over you that is really making it difficult for your membership to see clearly. And I think if you are those members, San Diego State, Fresno State, Colorado State, Boise State,
right,
who left the conference, the Mountain West, to go to the Pac-12, I think you're holding your breath to a certain extent here. Because if you don't get a TV deal, and I think the number is 10 million, if you don't get a $10 million TV deal, which is going to be difficult,
mm-hmm,
it can be nothing but a mistake to have left and paid all that money to leave to go to the Pac-12 for uncertainty. I don't understand it.
Yeah, well,
and
you're just trusting at that point.
It's
You're
a leap of
trusting.
faith.
Yeah,
it's a leap of faith for people. You're doing business with people that have consistently failed.
mm-hmm.
I mean, you look at Teresa Gould, with all due respect, she's old guard Pac-12. And a lot of people, I think, look at Teresa Gould, the commissioner of the Pac-12. Well, she's a new, fresh voice. No, she's not. She predates Kliavkov.
Yeah.
She goes back to Larry Scott and, hotel suites at the Aria and multi-million-dollar monthly rents in San Francisco.
Yeah, she was part of the reason the Pac-12 burned down.
There's no doubt she was in the leadership group that, in my opinion, drove the Pac-12 into the ground.
Yes.
And she's the commissioner, and they're doing business the way they always have. The way they handled the Mountain West situation. Now suing the Mountain West.
So what does it look like then? And this is the question you have to ask if you're, Boise State, San Diego State, any of these schools that joined up, even Gonzaga. What does it look like if the conference is unable to get a media rights deal, is unable to get, security and reliability? How, not to be harsh, but how foolish will you look? How much money will it cost you if this thing doesn't pan out and you have to go back?
It will pan out. The Pac-12, in my belief system, based on people I've spoken to, the Pac-12 will have a TV deal. I think the biggest question is, how much money will that deal be worth? And how many of these teams can go to the NCAA tournament and not just one tournament game, go deep into the NCAA tournament? I think that is, at the G5 level, that is a huge, huge, huge deal.
Yeah.
San Diego State, Boise State's got to become a basketball program. Fresno State, because I think at San Diego State and at Gonzaga, you're going to go to the NCAA tournament.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's no question about that with San Diego State. The commitment financially, facilities, recruiting, spending the money to travel internationally to recruit, both those universities do that. Gonzaga is probably the best international recruiter in the G5 level. And San Diego State is spending more and more resources to send their staff out internationally, because it's not optional anymore. You have to go to Australia. You have to go throughout Europe. You have to go throughout the Pacific Rim. Have to. Because that's where the difference-making talent is.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got to go find them. And that's what has really powered Gonzaga for a long time. GCU, the same. Spends a lot of money recruiting in Europe. I am curious, because what's a tournament share? $2 million, $2.2 million. That's a lot of money in the G5.
Yes, it is.
And I'm pretty sure that tournament shares start at $2 million. And you consider that when you keep winning games, now that's capped, obviously, once you get to the Final Four, but you just keep making more money when you win games. And you look at the tournament shares that are in the Mountain West, it is significant. So if I'm Gloria Nevarez, I'm going after St. Mary's and I'm going after GCU.
Yeah, and I think this tournament share questions, is really important. The understanding of, hey, this is how much money you can make as a conference through tournament shares really, really matters in this conversation. And I look at this and, like, it's not like the G5 does bad in basketball. It's not like they're not good or they don't have access. They have access and they have made an impact. And, I look at this graph and you start to see this is for 2023, the 2023 tournament. Look at the money. Look at where the Mountain West is. They're right there, man.
$16 million.
Like, so in a revamped Mountain West, you can see, how important this is. And also, I would point out, look at the difference the new schools to the Pac-12 are going to make. The Pac-12 is right behind the Mountain West there.
Behind the Mountain West.
But this year is going to take that jump because you have San Diego State, and you have Gonzaga, and you have,
But if you look at this graph, look at the WCC. Right there behind the Pac-12 at $12 million. Who's powering the WCC in the NCAA tournament? Well, Gonzaga. And you look at the Pac-12, you add Gonzaga to the Pac-12, and you understand this wasn't a football move. This is a basketball move to go after Mountain West schools, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And you look at San Diego State and the money that they have made in the NCAA tournament, you can see why the Pac-12 took the group of schools that they took. And you understand, obviously, you look at the Big 12 making $32 million in tournament shares.
Look at the bids. And this is the other important portion of this. The bids versus shares versus how much you made. Like obviously the Big 12 and the SEC did extremely well. But, I look at the Mountain West and the Pac-12 both having 4 bids, and the Mountain West got 1 more share because they won another game. Like, that's what it comes down to. So when you talk about, hey, Boise State's got to become a basketball brand, like these different schools got to really punch up their basketball programs, that's exactly right. Because you can't be like, I would go out and say that, as a conference, you don't want to be under 10 mil leaving the tournament. Like, you should, if you look, obviously the power conferences are making over $10 million a year just on the basketball tournament alone. That doesn't even account for aircraft carrier games and, all the other random line item money-making opportunities. So I just think that when you look at this situation, you ask the question, who's in a better spot? Yes, the TV deal matters. Yes, reliability matters, but ultimately what's going to matter moving forward is your ability to win in basketball.
Yeah, and I think you look at this graph, and I think it's important to understand that tournament shares are $2 million, and you basically are earning a share for every win, and they're distributed over 6 years to the conference. To the conference. They are not distributed to the team.
Yeah.
The conference gets that money, and when you leave the conference, the tournament share stays with the conference.
Yeah.
So that's why this is so important. And I hope people understand that. I'm not trying to get into the woods on this and make it confusing. But when you look at how much money we are talking about, think about the money that is changing hands. And again, I just go back to this graphic real quick. Think about, just look at the Mountain West, Pac-12, and WCC.
Yeah.
Think about how many tournament shares are changing hands. That's a ton of tournament shares changing hands. That's a lot of money changing hands. That's why this is such a battle, because if you bring in, $8 million a year in tournament shares because you perennially make a run to the Final Four, you're a really valuable commodity to a G5 conference.
Yep.
Because it doesn't vary based on, hey, you're a G5, you get less. No. The NCAA tournament's very different that way. Who do you think is on better footing, the Mountain West or the Pac-12?
I think the Mountain West currently is on better footing just because of the things we said. I mean, you're already across the finish line. Now you can. It's like what Gloria said. We're now going to look ahead to basketball only membership and see what we can build there. See how we can, improve and then solidify this conference further. And I understand people feel like, oh, well, the Pac-12's got better brands. Well, that might be true. You may have more powerful brands, more recognizable brands. I don't disagree with that. But what does that matter if you're not being seen on television enough? If you're not being, if you're not in the tournament enough, if you're not able to make an impact in football, those are the questions that I have. Boise State can go out and win some ball games on the football field, but they're not a great basketball program. You're not going to see them all the time. Like San Diego State obviously is the opposite. How much pressure is on San Diego State's basketball team to go out and get the job done now that you're trying to, get yourself involved in this Pac-12 situation? I mean, you got to go out and go to the tournament. Not making the tournament is no longer acceptable at San Diego State. And I don't just mean because we're in the national championship situation and all that.
Right.
I'm talking about from just a money-making standpoint. If you're San Diego State, you got to pull your weight in that conference. Because the other thing that I think with this Pac-12 situation, when we talk about who's on better footing, that what matters is who holds the water in the Pac-12.
Yes.
Because right now it's Boise State. But if San Diego State can come out and say, hey, we're making more money than these guys, we should have a bigger say, that's also going to matter. So I just think the Mountain West is on better footing from like a business perspective, but the Pac-12, it remains to be seen with their TV deal.
I think if they get a TV deal that's $10 million, the Pac-12 is by far in a better spot. Yeah. It is 100% because you're making more money. Obviously, you're a better football brand with the universities you added. Now, San Diego State's not very good in football at all.
Right.
But Boise alone, and I guess I'm one of the few people that thinks Fresno State is a good football program. And I do think Fresno State's a good football program. You add those two, and then you look at the tournament money. I don't think there's any question that the Pac-12 is in a better spot if they get a $10 million TV deal.
Yeah, and that's got to be one of the biggest ifs in all of college football. That's like double circled, underlined, asterisk. Like, they'll get a deal, like you said. I don't doubt that they're going to get a deal. But that $10 million number is crucial.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how this lawsuit plays out. It'll be very interesting to see, this lawsuit the Pac-12 filed against the Mountain West, claiming unfair business practices and interference with commerce, is very interesting because that's a tough argument to make. When you look at the way that the Pac-12 went about this, and Gloria talked about that she knew. She was asked, I think, on a Boise State show, a Boise State podcast, at Mountain West Conference Basketball Media Day. She was asked. The Boise State guy kind of vomited all over himself, frankly, asking the question. But she was asked, hey, when did you know that this was going to happen, that these teams were going to bail? And the guy goes on to talk about, we had no idea. It was completely shocking. Even though if you didn't know this was going to happen, I think your head's in the sand.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, we knew as soon as the Pac, she essentially said, as soon as Pac-12 melted down, we knew this was a likely possibility.
Yeah.
So she gets into an agreement with the Pac-12, and it's pretty bulletproof. They put it into a contract. Hey, if you come in here and you poach our schools, you have to pay this amount. And the Pac-12 agreed to that. They signed a contract. And instantly, why the two conferences didn't merge. And I think it's really interesting to see how this ends up, because all these lawsuits are, and we're seeing this in the ACC, all these lawsuits are a lever you pull for negotiations.
Right.
I don't believe the Pac-12 thinks they can go in front of a judge and win this case. You can't. It's almost impossible. We've seen it in the ACC, and you can argue interference with commerce, but what you can't argue is that you signed that contract without duress. Because notice, they are not arguing duress in the Pac-12. Under no circumstance are they arguing duress.
Right.
They're saying, hey, this contract is invalid because it violates laws. Because you can write a contract, but if the terms in that contract essentially break laws, it's an invalid contract. I think you are in that's a really watered down argument that the Pac-12 is trying to make. So it's going to be a very precarious position if the Pac-12 loses this lawsuit, ends up spending their own legal fees and the Mountain West legal fees, and then does not get a $10 million TV deal.
Yeah.
I think that's worst case scenario. You lose the lawsuit, so you got to pay all the poaching fees, and then you don't get it. Let's say you get a $7 million TV deal. Boy, that's going to be an awfully difficult nugget to swallow.
Yep, that's tough.
But the upside is, hey, you win the lawsuit. Maybe you don't even win it. You just negotiate, and you're able to reduce those poaching fees. You do get a $10 million TV deal. You're able to pull St. Mary's to tag with Gonzaga, and you're able to add other membership, whatever that might be. You get to those 10 full share members with St. Mary's and Gonzaga as basketball members. Now you're in a position where you're in a much better spot, because you're going to have tournament shares going forward. You're going to have the likely one of the best, probably the second best behind the AAC.
Right.
If all things remain equal, you'll have the second best G5 conference behind the AAC. I mean, you're going to be in a really good position, in my opinion.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think that it's it goes back to this Teresa Gould angle. Like, you're suing somebody, and you really expect us to believe that the Pac-12 leadership is going to outduel another conference when they haven't shown the ability to keep their conference alive. That's where I say, hey, like, okay, you're suing so you can negotiate, but what negotiating leverage do you have? Because both sides know you're not going to win that in court, right? Because that's the thing with suing somebody. Hey, I'm going to sue you because I know I can win unless you give me this. That is the formula. But the Pac-12 doesn't have that formula, because you wouldn't win that case, and everybody knows that. So that's why I'm saying, like, when we first learned of that suit, I was like, hold on, you're trying to make a leverage play here, but you don't have the leverage in court to make the play. That's what I don't understand about that decision. I don't understand what made you thought that was a good idea, because of that risk you just outlined, because of, the potential that you're going to have to spend a ton of money to right the ship if you lose this situation. And I'm calling it a situation because you're not going to go to court. I would be shocked You're trying to get them to lower those fees to settle. So again, that's why I say they're not going to merge anymore. Obviously, that's dead. And the Mountain West has better footing right now. The Pac-12 has upside that the Mountain West doesn't have.
I would agree.
But is that upside ever realized, I think, is the question moving forward.
Yeah, and I think it's also very telling that, and if you read the lawsuit, and the filing's public, you can go and read it. If you read the lawsuit, what is the Pac-12 not asking for? Well, they're not asking for damages. And if you're filing a federal lawsuit, and it's a federal lawsuit, you hired the same firm that represented the Pac-12 previously, and you're not asking for damages. I think that's very telling.
Yeah.
The only request in this lawsuit is to make the poaching penalties null and void, which I think every legal person that I've spoken to about it, and every synopsis of the filing that I've seen says that is highly unlikely, because they didn't, and this is, in my opinion, also very telling, they didn't file a claim of duress. They filed a unfair commerce suit, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
I think the exact verbiage is it's anti-competitive. But it's not anti-competitive when it's in your contract that you signed. And that contract doesn't violate law. Because notice they're not trying to unwind the contract that they signed with the Mountain West. They're trying to unwind the penalties. Because I think, as it was explained to me by a lawyer that I very much trust, who said if they'd have filed duress, it would have been thrown out of court almost immediately. I think the Mountain West would have moved for a hearing, because the other thing you got to remember is the Mountain West is like, okay, well, yeah, we'll take our response window to the very last moment.
Yep.
Because there's no reason for the Mountain West to engage in a back and forth a second sooner than they have to. Because all the time is on their side. All of it. Because just because you filed this lawsuit, and I think what people don't understand is just because you filed this lawsuit does not mean you don't have to pay the poaching penalty.
Right.
You're either going to pay it and ask for a reimbursement, or you're going to put it into escrow. It's one of the two. So you're putting that money forward. You're not getting out of that. And if you're the Mountain West, you have no reason to answer it, because a lot of Pac-12 supporters are making the argument, well, they asked for a continuance and a time extension. Well, that's exactly what the Mountain West should have done. And I think we've talked about this on the show before, because this lawsuit's it's a month old now. And you've really seen no movement, because what else is the Mountain West doing? They're solidifying themselves. And if you're in a tit for tat and you're exposing information that doesn't need to be exposed, does that help you land UTEP?
Nope.
It doesn't. So it's going to be really difficult for the Pac-12 to win this lawsuit. And I understand why they filed it, and I think it's a negotiating tool. I don't think this ever gets to a judge's ruling.
Agreed.
And I think if you can save a penny, if you're the Pac-12, my question is, do you save more in the poaching penalties versus what you're paying in legal fees? Because they hired one of the most expensive firms in the city to represent them.
Well, but wait, I thought it was a new time in the Pac-12.
It's not. It's not. And my question is, what happens if you don't get a TV deal? Because there is also a belief, and then I want to get to your comments because I've spoken way too much on this now. There's also a belief that there is a floor in these conference agreements that these 4 Mountain West members signed that says, hey, if we don't get this much in TV revenue, we have the right to invalidate this agreement.
Right. Protection for the school.
So if you can't get us a $10 million TV deal like you're promised, we can leave.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes perfect sense.
Now, can you put your tail between your legs and go back to the Mountain West? Probably not.
And if you do, it's going to be for a hefty discount.
You're going to take a huge financial penalty.
Yeah.
A huge financial penalty. So, yeah, I think it's very interesting. What do you think? Who's in a better spot? Pac-12 or the Mountain West? The comment section, as always, brought to you by our friends at Prize Picks. Prize Picks, America's favorite daily fantasy app. I'm telling you, the promotion, I've heard from so many of you who have not put any more than their $5 into this, because why would you? Open a new Prize Picks account, download the Prize Picks app, use the promo code Monty. You deposit $5, they'll give you 50 more. It is the single best daily fantasy promotion I've ever seen. And trust me when I say I love Prize Picks. I would like to thank the New York Yankees and the Los Angeles Dodgers for saving my financial bacon last night. I told you I was going Bo Nix for any touchdown. Spencer Rattler, I'm an idiot, for a touchdown, or Cortland Sutton for a touchdown. 0 for 3.
Yeah, garbage.
0 for 3. But of course I offset. Of course I offset with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Thankfully, I offset with the Los Angeles Dodgers. And thankfully, Mookie Betts, my guy. Who'd you have on the Dodgers last night?
Nobody.
Because you're not as smart as me. Mookie Betts last night was 2.5 total bases on a demon. Mookie Betts had 8 total bases last night. And I hate to say this out loud, but Kike Hernandez was 2. I needed 2 runs, hits, and RBIs. My guy had 2 hits on his own, finished with 3 runs, hits, and RBIs. And then, of course, Yamamoto, I needed 4.5 Ks. He got me 8. Boom. Who's your daddy?
Nice, dude.
This guy. Offset my losses. Pretty much broke even. Up $5 after last night. So went heavy on the Dodgers. You had to know. Am I the only one that's amazed that the Yankees just are giving away games? It's amazing to me. Baseball, football, WNBA tonight.
W.
Championships in the dub. Are you a degenerate enough to?
No, I don't delve into that.
You don't play with the dub?
Nah.
There are some interesting numbers in the dub. Nafisa Collier's 20.5 points. And that's a pretty good one. She's hit that 4 out of her last 5.
Yeah.
So I think Nafisa Collier's an interesting one in the dub tonight. I don't know. Brianna Stewart is 44 fantasy points and 34.5 points, rebounds, and assists. I think that is a steal in a championship game. Hit the dub.
Yeah.
Don't hit the dub because you'll lose. If you're counting on the WNBA, the Women's National Basketball Association.
Yeah. A lot of risk there.
I'm rather a degenerate about it. But that's what I love about Prize Picks. You deposit $5, they'll give you 50 more. Use the promo code Monty to open up a brand new Prize Picks account. Download the app, promo code Monty. You deposit $5, they'll give you 50 more at Prize Picks. All right, where are you guys at? Let's get your thoughts in here. Aaron Wilson, America's favorite mailman.
Nice job, dude.
Hey, Dub, good to see you. Hope you are well. Always appreciate you being here. Big weekend for your Raiders. Aaron Wilson is a Texas Tech homer. How confident are you guys with Texas Tech and Baylor this weekend?
You're a homer is the first part.
I don't think you should be hugely confident. I think
that game's at Jones.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying you're going to lose. What I'm saying is it's going to be a tight game.
It is. You're essentially a touchdown favorite at home against Baylor. And the funny part is the number's 55.5.
I was going to say, I think that's a generous number there. I think this is a field goal game. Yeah.
On the spread, I think it goes over 55.5. In my opinion.
I don't know. I don't love Baylor's passing attack at all.
Well, obviously, I'm a big Baron
Yeah.
Morton guy.
Yeah.
And my dude, Taj Brooks. So
we'll see.
Harry Austin, our favorite San Antonian. Good morning for $5. Thank you. How much damage did the Pac-2 receive when the top AAC schools passed on moving to the Pac-12? I think more than we initially thought. Well, and I think it is Dr. Ed Scott at Memphis saying that they lowballed them. I mean, you guys remember that. I don't know if we still have that soundbite, but you guys remember Dr. Ed Scott, the athletic director. Here it is right here. This is not, oh, we really respect them.
And they're the best, but
we would have joined, but, here in the AAC, no, that's not what the PAC 6 or 7 or whatever they are now.
If y'all haven't seen the latest reports of what's going on between the Mountain West and the PAC 6, 7 right now, this is a fluid situation, right? So that's the other thing. When we talk about the decision that was made by the University of Memphis to not join the PAC, as I like to call them right now at this time, that was not a binary decision. That was not a no, we're not ever going anywhere. That was based on the offer that was presented in front of us, that we're not taking that offer because we don't think less of ourselves. And I came here for a reason. You heard me in the press conference. You've heard me in any interview I've done. I'm bullish on Memphis's future. And so I think.
Ooh.
Bruh.
Ooh. That is not.
We don't think less of ourselves.
In other words, they lowballed them. In other words, the offer wasn't good. And then saying the PAC 6 or 7 or whatever, that's not good. And that, to me, Harry, I think that's a really good point. I think that was damaging to the Pac-12. I think you heard the tires screeching as the AAC and UNLV and Air Force hit the brakes on joining the Pac-12.
Yeah.
And I think it also, the thing that concerns me about the Pac-12 is, again, I think it's just business as usual in that conference because you don't have new blood and energy and leadership. And that's a little concerning. You're still suing people, you're poaching, and listen, business is business at the end of the day. You signed a contract and you violated that contract according to the Mountain West. So you sued them for that. You tried to poach the best teams from multiple G5 leagues. It doesn't feel great.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, to your point, Harry, I would agree with that. DK for $5. Is it possible the Pac-12 won't get a TV deal because of the uncertainty surrounding them? From what I have been told, that's not possible. They have a handshake agreement. Is the CW good enough? They have a handshake agreement with the CW. Is the CW good enough?
Well, I mean,
that's the question.
Is it good enough? I don't think they have a choice. It's going to have to be. I mean, you're not going to get a deal from CBS or Fox or ESPN.
I think that this big question out there about, hey, does the CW have reach? Is our entire game going to be on the CW in Florida? Is Memphis guaranteed? Those are the questions that when we get into these conversations about what's good and what's bad, what's right and what's wrong with the Pac-12, the CW comes with some stigma about it. The lack of performance for Live Golf was a huge problem. And it's something that should be very concerning to you because the CW has very clearly stated they want to get into big-time weekend sports. You did that allegedly with Live Golf, and it was, I'm not going to say it was a failure, but you had affiliates leaving Live Golf to go and play reruns of 8 is Enough, bro. You have CW affiliates leaving you to play 70s and 80s TV. That's terrible if you're Live Golf. And the bottom line is you can't have that happen if you're the Pac-12. And if you are WGN TV in Chicago, are you really interested in the big Oregon State game this week? Are you really interested in Boise, San Diego State?
No, but you'd be more interested in NIU.
Well, and I don't think I don't think you're wrong about that. And listen, if If the Mountain West gets NIU and Toledo in football-only memberships, the Pac-12's in real trouble.
Yep.
The Pac-12, that's going to be tough to overcome. And at the G5 level, NIU and Toledo are two pretty good football programs. And if you're able to add them to the Mountain West as football only, if I am the Pac-12 and I am told that they are still in regular contact with their expansion partners, I think they tactically erred in saying we're going to put expansion on hold to get a TV deal done.
Mm-hmm.
I think you made a tactical mistake there. But no, I don't think it's possible they don't get a TV deal.
Yeah.
I do. ACC West Coast Commissioner Gumby, can't sue me. I'm a sovereign conference commissioner. There you go. There you go. Perry Stevenson. Myself, I'm a UNLV fan, and the way the PAC took those schools was unprofessional and underhanded. Example, the new Mountain West Commish gave the MAC advance notice of wanting to talk to its two schools. Gloria Nevarez reached out to the individual conference commissioners and said, hey, I want to talk to UTEP.
Yeah.
I want to talk to NIU and Toledo. And I think she went about that. She also reached out to other conferences, and I think that's exactly the right thing to do. It's bad form. It looks bad to handle your business the way the Pac-12 has. Business is business.
Right.
Ultimately, you have to do what you have to do to survive. I think they thought it was a no-brainer that the Mountain West schools would come over and just give them their money. And when it didn't work out like that, I think I get it. I understand it. I feel like the Pac-12 has a reputation problem, a perception problem. And that's not going away because your commissioner has been there since its inception, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So you're doing business the way you've always done business. And what's that going to get you? The same result you've always gotten. And until you do something completely different, smash the numbers. The Pac-12 and Mountain West should just merge. Not anymore. I don't know that you can do that. But that's just me. As low fares burn, Gumby says. Well, we'll see. Eric in Raleigh, good morning. Neither of those conferences are in a good spot. Oh, I disagree. If you aren't the SEC or the Big 32, you're in Division II. But
we're not comparing
them to power conferences. They're not trying to be a power conference.
Yeah, what they're trying to do is be the best G5 conference they can be. I think
that's it.
I think that this conversation around best conference as far as the Mountain West is concerned is just not relevant currently because they're still yes, they're back to 8 full share members now, and that's great. And obviously you've got the TV deal and everything's good. But now we've got to take it a step further and solidify the basketball side and really take the conference to another level in that realm. And so I just don't Eric, I'm not trying to make it personal, man. I just think it's a short-sighted thing to say, oh, well, they're Division II if you're not SEC or Big 32. Well, that goes without saying, dude. That's just a given. That's not.
You're not opting into revenue sharing.
Yeah.
At most G5 universities, you're playing on a different playing field.
What you should be asking is which commissioner is the Greg Sankey of the G5? That's what we should be asking. Hey, who's the power broker in the room when inevitably, again, as I've said all week, the G5 is going to have to create its own playoff system? Because at some point that's going to happen. But I don't think we have the power conferences are fortunate in some ways that there is a Greg Sankey and there is a Tony Petitti to go out here and basically herd the sheep, if you will. The G5 doesn't have that currently.
The problem has been that the NCAA membership has been willing to do nothing. The NCAA membership, and Greg Sankey said as much, we were all sitting around in a room doing nothing. And so Greg Sankey on the Triple Option podcast, I remember the name.
Dude. Nice job. Let's go.
Greg Sankey on the Triple Option podcast basically said, I'm happy to be the jerk in the room if I need to be, if that's what's best for the SEC. because we were sitting around doing nothing.
Yeah.
And he said in that meeting, we're doing nothing, and I'm not here to do nothing, which is what spurred him and Tony Petitti to get together and make this alliance, which is now going to benefit them, because I think there is some belief that they are not going to exclude other power conferences from their schedules, but they're going to make it very difficult to schedule the Big 12 and the ACC in the Big 10 and the SEC, because they are going to have 8 conference games, and they are going to require a minimum of those other 4 games going to the other conference. And you're likely going to have 1 schedule spot a year going forward.
Yeah.
For somebody else. And it cannot be a G5.
Yeah, we're not seeing Abilene anymore.
Abilene! That's not happening. And again, I'll just play you the Greg Sankey bite.
I don't want to dumb down the Southeastern Conference to be part of some Super League notion with 70 teams that some people speculate would happen. They want to be us, and that's on them to figure it out, not on me to bring myself back to earth.
Wow.
I love it.
And I think it's good for college football.
I love it.
And really college athletics. Like I said, I really firmly believe that like the scheduling alliance is hardly breaking news or hardly some shocking development. I mean, these two have been working together on this for a minute. And I think that what we're seeing out of mostly Greg, but a little bit of Tony, is that they're slowly but surely making it more comfortable publicly to talk about, hey, we're going to drive this thing. We're going to take control. We're going to be the ones, running things around here. And I'm telling you, what's going to happen is the Big Ten and the SEC will take the power conferences, and that will form itself. The group of those 4 conferences will figure it out, whether it's called the Super League or whatever it's called.
Whatever it ends up being.
They will figure that out. That will get done. But this question of, hey, where does that leave the G5? I think it's actually the bigger question, because the G5 feed the big boys. Every single year you have G5 kids transferring up to make their run at the NFL or at whatever they want to do. So I just think when you talk about, hey, like, these two are in the minor leagues or whatever. Yeah, of course they are. That's their role in life. They're not the lion. They're the gazelle. And they got to figure out a way to put together a system that allows them to cozy up the TV networks and make more money. Now, that's not going to be the money that the big boys are making, but it doesn't need to be. It just needs to be enough money to solidify these conferences and improve their situation. And that's all it really needs to be. It's not that complicated.
Yeah, I think it's we all try to make it complicated, and I don't think it's complicated at all. Cougs Johnson, hello. The AAC has 1 team in the top 80, Memphis. In the preseason basketball, Memphis, sorry. That's why 95% of Memphis fans want to leave and go to the Pac-12, because they put a priority on basketball. And I think something that a lot of people don't understand is you don't want to be the basketball powerhouse in a football league, because then what happens? Well, you're Gonzaga, where you're making $6 million a year in tournament shares, and you're seeing a sliver of that because it's distributed to the league.
Gonzaga
and other league members.
Yep.
So Memphis is making, in this case, would be making the money for the AAC and the NCAA tournament and not being able to keep the lion's share of it.
And by the way, I think Gonzaga, I mean, I don't know that we know it to be a fact, but it's pretty well understood that Gonzaga got, more than just like a half share.
Yep. Maury Alvarez, Boise State to the AAC.
Right.
Well, the problem is, Gumby makes a good point. Boise's not a state, though. Are you sure? Are you sure? I think the Mountain West Conference is in a better spot currently because they have members, have a TV deal, and a vision and a plan going forward.
Yep.
Which you say that out loud, and Pac-12 fans absolutely lose their minds. And I can only say so many times, hey, listen, if everything that the Pac-12 is promising comes to fruition, you're in great shape.
Right.
You get that $10 million TV deal, great. You're in great shape. You get everybody in the Pac-12 faniverse is convinced. See what a faniverse?
Faniverse, yeah.
Is convinced that the AAC members are going to leave for the Pac-12. Hey, if that happens, you're in good shape. But what's the likelihood of that happening?
Mm-hmm.
Because again, it'll all come down to Memphis, South Florida, UTSA, and Tulane. Do they have binding agreements with their conference? I'm told they do. I'm told the agreement in the Mountain West is binding.
Right.
So how are you going to get out of that? You're not going to get out of that. And guys like Ed Scott don't say the Pac 6 or 7 or whatever it is.
They don't disrespect the situation.
I think that's a huge problem.
He went out of his way to be disrespectful about it.
I think it's a huge problem. I just don't. Right now, the Pac-12 does not have the pieces and the parts to outdo the Mountain West.
Mm-hmm.
Announce a TV deal, and that could all change. That's all I'm saying. The dub equals Whataburger. Okay.
Sure, man. Whatever you say.
That's fine. Aaron Wilson says yes. Gumby says Aaron, a pew pew homer. Indeed. There is no question.
Where is Aaron right now?
About that. Cougs Johnson, I honestly wanted to fire Teresa Gould for the bad, insulting offer she gave to Memphis. But do you guys understand Teresa Gould, the commissioner of the Pac-12? I think she started in 2004 at the Pac-12. She's been there forever.
Yeah.
It is the same old way of doing business. Got to start somewhere. See your team win on the C-Dub, indeed. Dan Davis, where do I find the Mountain West channel? How do y'all rewatch games? YouTube. I almost exclusively use YouTube. But you can watch, their deals are CBS Sports and TNT. It's not hard to find Mountain West content. It really is not. Sweet Beans TV. Gloria really has you guys in her pocket.
Here we go.
I love when guys come in here.
It was only a matter of time.
I love when guys come in here and they're like, they're paying you.
So, Sweet Beans, quick question for you, Slick. Saw you 2 weeks ago. You've been a ghost ever since you got your ass beat the last time you came in here. What's it going to be this time?
Mountain West is trash. Then why did you go and take their members?
Yeah, if it's so bad.
UNLV couldn't afford to move. What's your point?
What's our point? No. What's your point? What are you even saying here, dude?
And this is where people lose me.
Yeah.
When you come in and you say things that you can't back up, UNLV couldn't afford to move. It's not that UNLV couldn't afford to move. They couldn't afford not to stay. Why did they stay in the Mountain West? I know it's crazy. They got a better revenue sharing deal.
But check out this comment right here, right below by Dan Davis. This fast channel Samsung thing. Like
Pac-12 Inside Fast Channel on every Samsung, though.
But Dan, here's my question for you, dude. Who the hell even knows the Pac-12 has a fast channel?
I couldn't tell you if they do or do not.
Like, I don't even know that I would agree. I don't even know that they have that. And by the way, I know where I can find Mountain West games. You can find it on TNT. You can find it on certain weeks on True TV. You can find it in past years on CBS Sports Network.
If you're truly just being anti Mountain West, the Pac-12 network was nothing short of an abject failure.
Yeah.
It was a disaster.
Because it's garbage.
You spent so much money on that property and you lost all of it. All of it. And the bigger issue is you're still in a position where now you have, and I don't know how many people even care about this, but they built this palace, a gem of a production facility in San Ramon, California, which is East Bay. And it is unbelievably good. It is as high tech as you can get. The Pac-12, they still have to produce their own games. And you're here, I think, and if I'm wrong, I hope I'm wrong. You're here ripping the Mountain West because you can't find their channel. Guy, the Pac-12 network has been nothing short of a disaster. I don't know why Pac-12 fans can't have open, honest discussions about the reality of your situation. If you get a TV deal, nobody will watch the Pac-12 network. Why would you? Nobody's watching replays of football games.
How long was the Pac-12 network not on DirecTV? How long did we have weeks where we couldn't watch a certain team, whatever your Pac-12 team was, because they were on Pac-12 network and you didn't have Dish?
You guys, do you understand? And we went through this with when the Pac-12 melted down. You guys all came in and told us we didn't know anything and we're stupid, and totally get it. But I'll tell you the same thing that I said then now. Until you show the world that you are a competent business operator, which the Pac-12 has never. Look, you went on a diatribe against UCLA about back of the envelope calculations.
Yeah.
That was your argument.
Back of the envelope calculations.
That you lost miserably. By the way, you went on this diatribe. You've never been in the Pac-12 a solid business operator. And what I'm asking all of you Pac-12 hyenas, why can't you just have an open and honest discussion about who you are and where you are? Your potential far outweighs and has always far outweighed your execution.
Yeah.
And in this moment in time, if you don't execute, you are going to be dead. And so what have we seen from this new Pac-12? We've seen that it's the same exact old Pac-12 with the way that you execute. A really good point was made to me by a TV guy the other day. All the Pac-12 has ever done is burn bridges everywhere they've gone.
Yep.
They burned bridges at DirecTV to the point where DirecTV wouldn't even take a phone call for a 3-year period. Wouldn't take a phone call from the Pac-12. That's how bad their relationship was. You burned bridges with Comcast because you knew there was a payment problem and you knew they were overpaying you and you didn't tell them. So you want to talk about being a good business partner? Let me get this right. I could use the Comcast example and tell you, did the Pac-12 learn from the Comcast mistake? Apparently not, because they just did the exact same thing. Burned a bridge with the Mountain West. The problem is you're not learning and evolving. And you can sit here and you can rip like every Pac-12 fan. When we bring up Northern Illinois, they're like, oh, Northern Illinois. Who do you have? I agree. Is Northern Illinois sensational? No, it's not. But you know what the issue is? The Mountain West understands who they are and where they are. And they understand that they needed to get to 8 full share members. Why, if the Mountain West is so bad, why did you invite Hawaii? And why did they pick the Mountain West? Well, they picked the Mountain West because the Mountain West said, well, you don't have to pay travel stipends anymore. So I don't know how many people realize this.
Yeah.
Hawaii was paying people's travel to come over. They were offsetting the cost of Boise State to go and play in Honolulu. They were offsetting the extra cost. The Mountain West said, hey, come with us. See, we're going to get all these poaching fees. So we're going to make it so you don't have to do that anymore. The Pac-12 wasn't willing to do that. Now, the Mountain West is at 8 full share members. Oh, but UTEP. What is San Diego State? San Diego State's not a football powerhouse. What is Fresno State? Fresno State's not a powerhouse. You have one brand, and it's Oregon State. And then maybe Boise State. And the other thing that I always say to Pac-12 people is, hey, dude, are you in a better position? Do you have more access to the college football playoff than the Mountain West has? Yeah, the answer is no, you don't. You have the exact same access. Exact same. Because if we're comparing apples to apples, that UNLV team that you said sucked and you didn't want, well, they're competing for a conference championship in the exact same conference that you all are competing in. So I don't understand why Pac-12 fan can't just have an open and honest discussion about where you're at. Because as I've said, and I'll continue to say it, if you get that $10 million TV deal, which you've been telling your prospective members, hey, we're going to have a $15 million TV deal because that's what you've been telling people, which I'll just go back. Where have we heard this song before? Well, we're going to get $50 million per school per year. And you never got close to that. And now you're promising people $15 million per school per year, allegedly. You better get 10, which I think you're capable of. If you wind up at Amazon and on the CW, I think you can get to 10. But make no mistake about it, this is the same Pac-12 it's always been. And that should concern you if you're a Pac-12 fan. Perry Stevenson, sweet. Actually, Phil is correct with UNLV's being stable. We keep winning in football and improve in other sports. We'll be attractive to the Big 12. You're never getting to the Big 12.
Yeah, that ain't happening, dude.
You're never getting to the Big 12.
Yeah. See, again, that's just misguided expectation. What you should be saying is everything you said before the Big 12 part, and then, hey, we need to make sure that we're consistent in basketball so we can continue to bring in cash to the conference and we can continue to grow our leverage in the conference.
I just wish people, you got to take the emotion out of it. I feel like I say this every day on the show.
See, and this is like, if you look at Pac-12 defenders in the comments section, they don't want to talk about like everything that you just brought up. They want to talk about, sayings or crowd sizes or like these arbitrary things that just don't matter in the conversation, man. Like if you want to, you're trying to defend, like Dan is out here trying to defend the Pac-12 with Pac-12 Network. Like Pac-12 Network is one of the most embarrassing networks we've had in college football.
Dan Davis, you're saying what now, Dan? I'm sorry, excuse me. I bet it's more like 15 to 20 million once all parties are included. You really think you're getting 15 to 20 million dollars a year? So you show me a G5 that is eclipsed $15 million. There's no factual basis. There's no market value data. And we talk to people at the top of these networks.
Yeah.
How do you think we have been dead accurate about Pac-12, for instance? Who broke the story they were asking for $50 million per school per year? We did. How do you think we did that? Who broke the story that they were not getting more than $90 million a year? Who broke that story? We did.
Who broke the story that Ann Cosse at Washington wasn't interested in Apple at that time, and that the Pac-12 wasn't willing to do a mostly streaming deal? That's right.
There was not a Pac-12 president or athletic director willing to go more than 50% of their content on stream.
So what was the price you paid? Yeah, your conference burned down.
So how do you think we got all that information? Do you think that we were just throwing darts against the wall and being like, all right, let's take 50 million? Dude, we talked to people at the top of these networks. Nobody is offering the Pac-12 $15 million a year. Nobody.
And by the way, if the Pac-12 is such a great brand, such a great conference, if it was run so well, if it's so much more valuable than the Mountain West and any other G5, let's say, why are you in this position in the first place?
And I would
why
point
are
out,
we even here?
And I would point out, you don't have a TV deal. And the Mountain West through 2026 is on CBS Sports and Turner, TNT. All I'm telling you is the Mountain West isn't some juggernaut of a conference that is running laps around you.
Yeah.
They're not. But what are they? They're solid business operators who have universal respect across college athletics.
Because what do they not do? They don't ask for $50 million a year. right?
I hope at some point that Pac-12 fan can come down to earth and recognize you have significant hurdles to survival. And the Mountain West has already cleared those hurdles because they're back to 8 full share members, and they're probably going to be at 10 football members minimum. You haven't gotten there yet. Get your $15 million deal you're touting. Go put your replays on a network that nobody has access to. Cool, dude. Go get it. This is why so many people hate the Pac-12. It's amazing to me. Daniel Dixon, PAC is a joke. Might call it the whack part 2. It's not a joke. It's a good. It is. The problem is the potential has never been realized because of such mismanagement. We sat on the show and had a major discussion with Larry Scott all those years ago at Pac-12 Media Days. Larry sat in front of us and told us we're talking to Google. And never was able to back that up. Like, we straight up asked him, why are you talking to Google? You're in Silicon Valley. I think and it's on the channel. The question was something like, are you leveraging your Silicon Valley relationships?
I got the YouTube TV.
And he never did that. Never did that. And then when George Kliavkoff came in, things got worse, not better. You've never been able to find somebody to run your conference at the level that it deserved to be administrated at. The Pac-12, and the thing that every other fan outside of the Pac-12 doesn't want to talk about, for the last 2 years, not including this season, previous to the meltdown, Pac-12 was one of the best football leagues in the country. Always lagged in basketball. I think all of us agree with that. Never performed to the level of basketball we had all thought. But it was a significant football powerhouse, the Pac-12. So, I mean, you can, yeah, anyway. What were you going to say? I'm sorry.
Well, this sentiment here from Dan, this comment right there, just to the right there. Yeah.
What teams do you have that TNT, Fox, and CBS want to pay for?
I don't know. Maybe the whole conference, because they have a deal with TNT.
Hey, you know who, bro, you make my head. This is the last comment from you I'm going to read. I'm not going to read the trolls anymore. You know who they have for the next 2 years? Boise State, Fresno State, San Diego State, and Colorado State. That's who they have. Do they need a new TV deal after 2026? They do. But do you think it's accidental that Gloria Nevarez said, you guys make this so easy because you don't do your homework? Why do you think she said this? Do you think it's an accident? She said, I do feel a lot better because we're secure until 2032. Do you think she misspoke? When has that lady ever said a word out of step?
Not that I can ever recall.
The time she's been on this show, the time she's been on other shows, when have you ever heard Gloria Nevarez misspeak?
Yeah.
Never. The answer's never. She doesn't speak out of turn. She doesn't speak off the top of her head because she's an operator. She's a business person. She is a business person. It's comments like this that I don't understand. You know damn well who's in this conference. You know damn well. So why be a red ass about it? This is where I just am like,
yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it.
You're either, and my guess is you're just being a jackwagon.
Yeah.
You feel like you're being hip and cool, and I'm going to say mean things. Dude, you don't bother me one bit. It makes you look like an idiot when you say stuff like that.
Yeah.
It tells us everything we need to know about you.
It screams that you're uninformed.
It's wild to me. It is wild to me. Phil Venzer, the Monty Show, the home of Pac-12 trolls. Anytime you talk Pac-12, and again, this is why people hate the Pac-12. Anytime you talk Pac-12, it's guys like this who come in and say things they can't back up, and so we're not going to read you anymore. Yeah. We're not going to read you anymore.
Yeah.
Happily. The stadium guy, James, I want both the Pac-12 and the Mountain West to succeed. Okay. That's cool.
Yeah.
The Monty Ghost. It's Red Ass Friday after all, Monty. Exactly right.
Hot ass.
It's exactly right. It's when you say stuff like who do they even have? You're just, come on. Mike Rodriguez, hello. I mean, UTEP sucks. Again, UTEP fans, El Pasans are not delusional like PAC fans. UTEP has always been a basketball school. Always has
Right,
been.
and that's the difference, right? I mean, I would agree with that. Nobody's saying that UTEP is some football juggernaut, right? What did Gloria say about UTEP? Hey, we knew we needed to get to 8 full share members. UTEP is in the footprint. UTEP makes a lot of sense from a business perspective.
Correct.
So we went ahead and added them. She didn't say, oh my God, they're going out and beating Georgia and geez, they're just the best. Nobody's saying that.
And why did she add the state of Texas? And why is she trying to get Ohio and Illinois? Because she's building a TV deal. She's building a business model.
Yeah.
So again, the disadvantage the Pac-12 has is they can't go out and leverage the members that they have. In the Mountain West, she's got 8 full share members, so she is secure as an FBS conference. The minimum is 8 full share members. She has time zones in Hawaii, the Pacific, the Mountain, and the Central.
It's pretty good, dude.
She's building a TV deal. That's what you should be doing.
Now, I think it's going to be hard to get to the Eastern time zone just based on.
And I don't know
money.
that she wants to do that.
I don't know that they want to go that far, but you know, again, you have 4 time zones. You have, you just got a lot of opportunity. But again, I think this point about nobody in the Mountain West is saying they're just somehow this best conference. Like,
which
they're
is
not saying
the
that.
awesome part
Yeah.
is you don't hear people in the Mountain West conference being like, oh, we're amazing. We're better than you. You guys are terrible.
Give us $50 million.
Nobody's saying that. It's Pac-12 fan who's so worried about their existential crisis and their battle for survival.
Yeah.
You're very unlikable. And remember that this show used to be the show where everybody came in and said, you guys are just Pac-12 homers.
Yeah, this was a Pac-12 show before,
You know.
That's how it goes.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Tarrant County Pete. Good proper grammar, Monty. The Pac-12 fan, singular. And the sad part is the Pac-12 has a very small fan base right now because obviously your larger fan bases are now in the Big Ten. Your larger fan bases are now in the Big 12.
Yep.
So you have to rebuild. That's the thing I wish that Pac-12 fan could have perspective on.
Well, just would embrace, like, it's a process to rebuild.
Yes.
And again, I'm just telling you guys, just full transparency. I'm not even a Mountain West fan. It's just what's happening. That we could be talking about the Big East or some crazy conference, and the sentiment would be the same. Like, hey, the Mountain West has gotten across the finish line, so they're on to a different part of the conversation.
Yeah.
But nobody said that they're better or like, I don't know why that's confusing.
Yeah. And it's fine. It is what it is. Red Wine makes a really good point. I thought this was a Utah show.
Well,
and the other day it was, well, you guys are just SEC homers. The beauty of not being emotionally attached to something like the Pac-12 is we can be honest about it. We can be blunt about it.
I don't give a piss about nothing but the Tide, baby.
Now, you want to ask me about Notre Dame? Different conversation.
Yeah, they suck. They're never winning anything, and they're terrible.
Exactly right. Tanner says, actually, I thought this was an Emperor McNabb show. He threw up on the field. Donovan McNabb threw up on the field and lost the Eagles a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So,
And now your coach is going to get fired after this year.
Exactly right. All right, let's start picking games.
Hey, what's on the Pac-12 slate this week, boys?
It's awesome to me because now we get to piss off Texas Tech fans.
Yeah.
What is the biggest game in the Big 12 this week? What is the biggest game in the country? We'll tell you that in 15 seconds on the Monty Show.
Hi, Sarah. Your dad told me about your accident. Can you tell me how it happened?
Still kind of going through it, but I was stopped at a light, and then this car I heard it come up behind me, and bam, and it's kind of like in slow motion.
Clear, risk-free advice. That's what you get when you go to theadvocates.com. The best injury attorneys in the business, no matter where you listen to this show. When you get in an accident, that's what you need. Clear, risk-free advice. You need somebody to fight for you. You need an advocate. Theadvocates.com, 24/7, 365. And it won't cost you a dime to speak with an injury attorney at theadvocates.com. All right, we have a lot of big games this week to get to. I think the biggest games this weekend, obviously, Texas, Georgia comes to mind.
Right.
I think, obviously, when you look at Alabama, Tennessee, Alabama feels like a wounded duck to me, which is different than Oregon.
Right.
Alabama feels like they have some proving to do. And we look at the Heisman, and I will again, speaking of the Mountain West, speaking of the future Pac-12, Ashton Ginty is an amazing running back. I wish more people were watching. I think Jalen Milroe's Heisman hopes have largely been dashed. And I think he has a chance in a big game on Rocky Top to rebuild that. But when we look at big games, especially in the Big 12, and you start asking yourself, what's really on the line this weekend in the Big 12, in the SEC, in the Big 10? I think it starts tonight in Provo. And this BYU Oak State game, BYU is a 9-point favorite. 52.5 is the number. And in a shocking turn of events, Garrett Rangel is going to start tonight for Oak State. Are you surprised that they have benched Alan Bowman?
No, I'm not. Look, Alan Bowman is talented. He can throw the football a little bit, but he's unimaginative. He's not creative. There's not explosiveness, in my opinion, in their offense with him. Now, that's not all on him. Obviously, we've talked so much about Casey Dunn and the play calling and, that part of it. So I'm not sitting here saying it's all on Bowman, but what I am saying is Bowman's not helping anything. And, this game tonight, I'm telling you, Mike Gundy, it's not lost on Mike Gundy that they're going to Provo to die. Like, you're going to Provo to play a football game that I'm just telling you, we're sitting in Salt Lake. It's like 40 degrees right now and pouring rain. Just telling you right now. So the idea that this game is somehow going to be some passing, display couldn't be further from the truth. What is going to take place in this game for both sides is running the football. And that's why I think Rangel is starting this game, because you need more mobility out of your quarterback. Now, I'm not sitting here saying Garrett Rangel is some, Lamar Jackson of a quarterback where he can just run all over you. He's not Avery Johnson, but he's more mobile than Alan Bowman. And I think for that reason alone, that's why he's getting the start, because Mike knows, hey, we got to be able to run the football tonight if we're going to have any chance. And we'd like to be able to run some RPO and have some more flexibility. And that's why I'm not surprised.
Well, obviously, you're going to have to run the ball tonight, and the biggest concern you have at Oak State is the offensive line is not pushing the pile. They are not creating lanes. I think it is a real problem, and I don't know how you fix that, because Mike Gundy, I think we all recognize that Mike Gundy, 2 weeks off, to prepare for this game. You feel like historically Mike Gundy's done well when he has time to prepare for an opponent. He has a history of turning things around. You have systematic issues in the run game. You have a guy in Ollie Gordon who doesn't look like he wants to, and you have an offensive line that does not push. Alan Bowman, I would agree, is a statue. He does not run the ball particularly well. Garrett Rangel, do you need a guy who runs better than he throws at BYU? I don't think you do. I would agree. It is going to be a weather game. The field is not going to be firm. I think you are still going to have to throw your way to a victory in this game tonight. And I think that BYU has an aggressive linebacking core that will spy Rangel to a certain extent. He's going to have to prove that he can be a game breaker. But I think it is going to be very difficult for Oklahoma State to come to Provo and win this game. I think the bigger issue for Oak State is they have holes all over that defense that they have not been able to fill. And BYU is moving in the right direction on the ground. I think you have Thunder and Lightning and LJ Martin and Rapati, I think you have the best wide receiver group in the conference and one of the best in the country. And it's all going to be determined by, can Jake Retzloff be accurate as a passer? If he can, I think BYU is going to win this game by 10 points.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I'm struggling with the confidence level in Oklahoma State to be able to score in this game. This is a home game, obviously, for BYU, which means they've got 30 points in this game. I think with pretty easy, execution. If you just do your job, I think you have 30 points in this game. And what I'm concerned about for Oklahoma State is those things you just said. Like, I'm not sure that Oklahoma State's going to be able to run the football effectively this game, or even just effectively enough to open up the passing game. And to me, this game has Oklahoma State turnovers written all over it. I think you're starting a kid in Rangel who hasn't played a ton this season, obviously. You're asking him to start in a hostile environment, certainly. You're asking him to play in a cold weather game, and you're asking him to come out and perform better than Alan Bowman.
9 takeaways in 3 games for BYU.
So
9.
I've got Rangel with a pick at least, and 1 fumble for BYU. So 2 turnovers recovered for BYU. So to me, I think the 9 points is conservative. I think this is 31-17. This is more than a 10-point victory for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it is going to be very interesting to see how physical BYU can be. I think that Ollie Gordon's got to have a breakout game. I can't believe that it would be tonight on a less than ideal field because of the weather. I mean, it is raining and snowing.
And you should note that it's going
Utah
to be windy
right now.
It's going to be windy as well.
Yeah, there is a weather advisory in northern Utah, which does not cover Provo. But if there's a wind advisory and they're talking about between 30 and 50 mile an hour gusts and 20 miles an hour sustained, you're probably half that in Provo tonight. So you're going to have 10 to 12 mile an hour sustained winds. Probably going to have 25 mile an hour gusts. It's going to be tough to kick. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to be explosive in the running game. I don't see how Oak State can. I don't have a way that Oak State wins the game.
Yeah.
BYU would have to be. They would have to regress completely on defense. Ollie would have to have a 200-yard, 250-yard game. And I just don't see BYU giving that up.
Yeah.
Not at home, not on a Friday night. The Rock is going to be loud. I mean, this fan base is going to be rabid. Everybody gets a Cougar's hail during the game, and then when they get home. My point is, I think it. I like BYU 31, Oak State 21. That's my feeling on this game.
31-17. I don't think they score 20 points.
You don't think they score 20 points?
No.
All right. Drop them in the comments section. Where are you guys at on the score of this game? Brandon Butler gives 5 Monty Show memberships. Let's go.
Sorry, a little late. My bad.
Thank you, Brandon. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Look at that. Tanner Plummer back in the membership.
Now I got to ask a question just real quick, not to get too sidetracked. Tanner, do you really not know where the membership button is on the channel? Tweeting at me yesterday. Well, where Monty, 2 holes. You have a membership level that's not the full boat?
We do.
You know we do.
Tanner, welcome back to the membership.
Yeah.
Gumby says 24-9 BYU. Okay. I like it. Justin Bemis. Tanner, BYU big win. Tennessee over Bama. Texas by 10. Okay.
We'll get to that.
Okay. The Rock is going to be rocking. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I think it is going to be raucous. Gumby says Gundy's going to turn into a cowboy popsicle. Don't disagree with that. I think it's going to be Tanner. I'm fully expecting 2-3 turnovers forced by BYU's defense. Oh, sorry, I meant defense.
Right. See what he did there.
It's a defense. He says 35-17, BYU 7-0 incoming. Okay. Mike Rodriguez, Cougar Tail, the Zach Wilson special. That's right. That's right. Exactly right. It's fine. G off. Cougars 27-21. Most people are heavy. Charred cake, Perdon't by 3. I think Perdon't's going to fire their coach. What? No, I'll never say it the right way.
Hey, bro, can you re-comment but get the name right? Perdon't by 3. Would you mind?
Yeah. Daniel Dixon, BYU 42-14. I don't know about a blowout like that.
Yeah, well, I just think with the weather and the way this game's going to work, I just don't think 42 points is in the cards tonight.
Let's stay in the state of Utah. TCU at Utah.
Okay.
Utah is only 3.5 points at home. Your initial thoughts. How do you feel about it?
I think they win this by 10. I think that the defense is going to show up. I think that when Kyle Whittingham comes out on Monday and says that they're going to work on tackling all week, you can be for sure they're going to tackle in this game. And I think that Utah, the Isaac Wilson situation is really hard to predict. I'll be honest. I'm going to give Buddy the benefit of the doubt and say he's going to have a big game. That he's going to show up. He's going to come in. He's going to, he's going to have a big performance, and he's not going to turn the football over. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. But make no mistake about it. If Isaac Wilson comes into this ball game and turns it over once or twice, they're not winning this game.
Yeah, I think.
So it's really, my point is it's difficult to understand. There's a lot of variables for Utah in this game.
I'm trying to find the consensus line. And most people have it under 49.5.
Mm-hmm.
If I had to ask you direct, when you say that about, I think that's an interesting point with Isaac Wilson.
Yeah.
What do you expect them to do offensively?
Well, what I would expect them to do to start the game is run the football. That's what I would expect you to do. This defense at TCU hasn't shown the ability to stop the run, hasn't shown the ability to hold teams down that way. So to me, I think when you talk about, getting Isaac Wilson into this game, moving on from Cam Rising, what's the first natural step? Hey, let's establish the run. Let's run the football. Let's run it effectively. Let's get 5 yards carry with Mekhi Bernard and company. From there, assuming they do that, and I do think they will do that with pretty regular, pretty easy to do that for Utah. From there, then I think you're going to start to see play action for Isaac Wilson. And the reason I say that is not because you should trust that Isaac Wilson's going to have some huge game, but Isaac Wilson is a quarterback that is built to play action football, to run the play action. He's a bigger kid, big arm, good vision, and when he's in rhythm, he throws a beautiful deep ball. The question's going to be, what's the connection to Money Parks look like? What does the connection to the tight end room look like? And if it's there, they're going to win this game comfortably. But I just don't think that we can have this confidence, just this outright trust that Isaac Wilson's going to come in here.
Big trust.
And trust, whoop, whoop. I can't do that with him, bro. I need you to show me that you can come out on a week's notice and beat this TCU team. And that's what I think the variable is. But I do think we should give Isaac the benefit of the doubt. Hey, trust that, just hey, he's going to come out and do his job. He'll be good enough.
Yeah, I'm worried. This is, in my opinion, the best offense that Utah has seen this year.
Mm-hmm.
And if you get Fatu and Kareni Reed back, I think they win this game comfortably. I think that TCU likes to throw the football. Utah is a defense that is susceptible to the passing game, in my opinion. I think that lessens if you have Reed and Fatu. But I also think that TCU does not stop the run well.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this repeatedly, that Mekhi Bernard is one of the better backs in the country that nobody knows about. And I think that if they run the ball effectively and they are able to control TCU's offense and keep TCU under 24 points, I do believe that Utah can win this game, because I think you are all in on Isaac Wilson. And I think that mental change that I've talked so much about, that I've heard so much about from people at Utah, that mental change to knowing that Cam Rising's not the guy anymore and that it's Isaac Wilson has it off this football team. And I think you are going to see that the top finally, they have no choice but to take the top off this offense. You cannot continue to be conservative and think that you are going to run the table in this league.
Yeah, you got to full send it.
Yes, which is the only thing that is possible for Utah to live up to their hopes and dreams, because nothing's been lost. And I know we had this debate earlier in the week, but how many games can you lose in this league and still play for a conference championship? I think the answer is 2.
I would agree with that.
And if you lose 3, I think your hopes of playing for a conference championship are done.
I think this game to me is going to turn into a tight game that's going to be around 30 points for each club. And the defense is going to have to make a play to win this game. And I think that TCU has the last possession in this game, and Utah is able to stop them on defense. Now, the only way that happens is if Utah can run the football, because if your defense is out there for 60 plays in this game, 70 plays in this game, TCU will win this game by 10 points. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think that Utah's defense is going to show up. I think the tackling technique and the discipline will return. I think, to your point, this is the best offense they've seen. This is a different ask than what you were asked to do against ASU. This team is not tough the way ASU was tough. This team is going to test your secondary. And every time their secondary has been tested, they've answered the bell. And I think that to me, that's why I'm going to take Utah in a 35-31 game to survive.
How bad from Isaac Wilson tomorrow? Because that's going to determine it. Are they interceptions down the field? You can live with that. Are they pick sixes on throws to the flat? That will end your season.
Yeah.
These are all things that I think you have to take into consideration when you're looking at Utah's ability to win this game.
I don't think that Isaac's going to have the pick six and the flat kind of turnover. What I do think could happen is the over the middle, hey, the ball sailed on me a little bit, and now I threw a ball 15 yards down the field and they returned to 20. Like, that to me is a young quarterback is a mistake you'll make. Like, you understand how easy it is to just float a ball too high, to just oh, hey, trying to hit Brant up the seam there and just threw it too far. Like, that would be easy to do.
You can't on offense score 10 points in these games.
Yeah.
Utah has not seen a prolific, in my opinion, has not seen a prolific defense this year. Isaac Wilson has played Southern Utah in a tune-up, Baylor, Utah State, Oak State, and Arizona. There's not an elite defense in that mix. And I'm not telling you TCU's an elite defense. They're not. But what I'm telling you is he's got to prove that he can, this offense has to prove that they can score 30 points in a game.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that they can. I don't know. I don't take the 38 points they put up against Utah State. That's not a good football program. They're in the middle of a federal investigation in Logan. I'm not gonna put a feather in their cap on that.
Yeah.
What I'm telling you is, if Utah's going to win this game, and I think they will, he will have to limit his turnovers. You can't have, if he throws 2 interceptions, you're going to have a tough time winning this game.
Agreed.
And you are going to have a pick six against TCU. I think a defensive score is what it's going to take to win this game. And I think it is going to be something in the order of 28-24, 28-27. I think this is a really tight game. I think that TCU covers and Utah wins outright.
I agree with that. Just think it's more points. That's the only thing I differ from you on.
We'll see. I am not convinced. Well, and you're not wrong. And Mayor McCluskey is going to be a red ass about Utah, as always. Isaac Wilson has 3 touchdown, 8 interception ratio. He doesn't. But I think that you cannot turn the ball over.
Yeah.
You just can't. And I think especially every opportunity that you hand back to this TCU offense, you're asking for trouble. Because this TCU offense can score points and has. And their worst moments have come in shootouts. So what's it going to be?
Yeah.
And I understand that TCU, it's not like TCU has played world beaters. I mean, you lost and gave up 30 points to Houston.
Right.
And that game was in Fort Worth. You beat Kansas and gave up 27 points.
Yep.
You lost to SMU and gave up 66 points.
So do you see what I mean? These teams that they've lost to,
UCF, SMU, and Houston are not good football teams.
But what can UCF do? They can run the football. They've got a back there, just the same way Utah does. I'm telling you, this has 150 on the ground written all over it. And
SMU ran for 238 yards on them.
Now, Utah's not going to have the number of possessions that SMU had in that game. But if you just take the total, the 66 points out of it, and you say, okay, cool, if we just chop that in half, they had half the possessions. If Utah can run with that same kind of efficiency, they're going to be fine.
Gave up 167 on the ground to Kansas.
Yep.
Which is a lot for Kansas. And then the Houston game, the numbers in that Houston game, I was looking at these last night. The thing that scares you is Houston was only 5 of 13 on third down.
And look at the second quarter in that game,
They still scored 30 points. They still ran for 207 yards, being 5 of 13 on third down.
I'm telling you.
You're going and Mekhi Bernard will play a critical role here, but I think it's going to be very interesting.
Run the football, bro. Just run the football.
Yeah. I think that's going to be very interesting. And donuts. Boise State just secured $128 million from Learfield, FYI. Why does that matter? You guys understand Learfield is a radio broadcast company. So I don't know why that matters. Geoff, TCU wins by a score because Utah will turn the ball over and beat themselves. And if they do that, Kirk Mason, 24-17 TCU. Yeah, I think that is terrifying. If you're a Utah fan, because I don't think it's that outlandish to think that Zach Wilson's brother Isaac, see the cover.
See what you did there. Yeah,
that was an amazing save. I don't think it's outlandish to think that Isaac Wilson, who's got 6 touchdowns and 7 interceptions, as I said, who's been sacked 8 times, is going to turn the ball over. Is he turning it over on 3rd and long down the field? Okay, I don't necessarily have a problem with that.
Right.
If he's turning it over on 2nd and 7 to the flat, you're in real trouble in this game.
Yeah.
Because you do not want to give TCU any extra possessions. Not a single one. Not a single one.
I'm going to stick. 35-31 Utah. I think they're going to run the ball. I think Isaac will have a turnover, but I think generally he'll play well, and I think they survive.
Mayor McCluskey, if Utah's defense gets 412 missed tackles like they did against ASU and TCU wins, I don't see I don't see it happening in Utah wins. I think they're going to be ready to go defensively. Ready to go. Ready to go.
Yeah.
I mean, it just...
Yeah.
To me, that's the I'm gonna take Utah 27-24. Like I can't get Utah scoring 30 points. I can't feel that. I don't even know how you would. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I mean, I the reason I think they're going to score more than 30 is because they're going to run the football at a high level. I think you're going to be in 3rd and short all day. I think that you are, and part of the Isaac Wilson conundrum is how effectively you run the football. Because if he's in 3rd and 8, the propensity to turn it over is much higher than 3rd and 3. And
I would agree with that.
And I think that I'm just telling you So earlier in the week we talked all about how this thing about moving on from Cam has freed the football team up, and the ask is very clear: you have to run the table. So now what that's done to your players is the players understand the mission. The players can come together and say, okay, this is the mission. I'm Mekhi Bernard. I got to go ahead and run for $150 in this game. I got to go ahead and punish that TCU defense. Hey, I'm the offensive line. I got to do my damn job on that offensive line. I got to move my guy off his spot. Like I'm telling you, this team, it can be an undefeated run the rest of the way. It can be that, but it starts this week with running the football. It's a core fundamental of any successful team, and it alleviates the Isaac Wilson concern. So when you say, hey, how do you get to 30 points? Well, you get to 30 points by running all over them and forcing them to come up to the line of scrimmage so that Money Parks can run free in the secondary. That's how you get to 30 points. And you're playing at home, and I don't know. This is going to be on Monday. We're going to talk about one of two things. We're going to talk about how this team came together. They ran the football. Isaac looked good. They tackled. They dominated this team. Or we're going to talk about you didn't tackle. Isaac's got 2 turnovers. Your offensive line looked terrible, and you didn't run the football, and your season's over. So I'm choosing to lean more positive because I believe in Kyle Whittingham. I believe in the coaching staff, and I think that they'll be able to get this job
Can
done.
you pound TCU running the ball?
Yeah, I think you can. Yeah, I do.
Because it's going to be a beautiful day in Salt Lake City tomorrow. I mean, if you look at the weather forecast, it all ends tonight.
Yeah.
So this game, obviously, 8:30.
Yeah, Saturday night.
You're playing on sport turf at Rice Eccles. Is it going to be? It's going to be probably in the low 50s, high 40s. I think weather won't probably be much of a factor because it's not supposed to rain or snow during the day tomorrow. So we'll see. I don't believe they can get to, I'm sorry. I don't believe they can get to 30 points.
Yeah.
I think they can control the clock running the ball. I think running the ball for Utah will allow them to limit the opportunities of that TCU offense.
Yeah. I don't think it's unfounded to be questioning whether they can get to 30 points or not. They haven't shown the ability, but I just think that when you look at the team, how it's built, when you look at what they went through this week, this could very easily be the, hey, we got over the hump. We smashed TCU. Like, we had that great feel-good game. Or it could be the end of your season. And I just think that Utah, I'm not just going to be like, oh, yeah, Utah forgot how to win football games given the situation. Kyle Whittingham knows how to win football games. And that's why I think they'll be fine.
We shall see. Thomas Reed, SEC gets 4 bids, Big Ten 3-4, ACC 2 likely with Miami and Clemson. The Big 12 only gets 2 if the Big Ten only gets 3. Well, I mean, in the Big Ten, I don't even know. I mean, I would think you're getting Oregon and Ohio State are locks. I mean, I don't know. Penn State, obviously, is Penn State one of those?
They're in the conversation for sure.
I mean, if you look at who the likely in the Big Ten, I want to believe in Penn State at 6-0. Well, actually, I don't. But I mean, you damage that. Never mind.
Yeah.
They've got a bye week this week before going to Camp Randall with Wisconsin. And Wisconsin is probably better than people give them credit for, but then you get that obviously Ohio State, Washington, Purdue, Minnesota, and Maryland.
Yeah.
I would think that you're going to be in position to play for a Big Ten championship. I would think.
Right.
I would think. The question is like Indiana. I have a hard time believing that everybody has Indiana at 6-0 and cool story, bro.
You just went Google me.
Cool story. I think that you're going to get Oregon, Penn State, and Ohio State in the college football playoff.
Yeah.
And I just think there's not another contender. There's not another good football team.
Yeah.
I mean, Indiana's solid.
The other one, the sore eye of the Big Ten is SC. That's the team that we should be talking about.
Yeah, but they're 3-3 and 1-3 in conference. That ship has sailed.
No, I know, but my point is when we talk about this, that would be the other team. That's who we should be talking about, but we can't because they've lost.
Yeah, and I think you look at the 2 lost teams. I mean, Iowa probably not. Nebraska probably not. Michigan can't score points. Michigan's not a very good football team, and their defense isn't nearly as good as we all thought it would be. Wisconsin, probably not. I mean, there's just not a real solid 4th contender there. And it all is going to shake out. Ohio State's got their destiny in front of them. That's what you're looking at. You're playing Nebraska next weekend. Then you're at Penn State on November 2nd. That's essentially going to decide who's going to the Big Ten championship game. Purdue at Northwestern, Indiana, and Michigan. You've got a cakewalk after Penn State.
Yeah.
You will not be challenged the rest of the year. You won't. You won't be challenged the rest of the year, which I cannot say about Alabama. Bama, Rocky Top, Tennessee, +3 for Tennessee at Rocky Top, 56.5, 330. ABC television. This is the game for Jalen Milroe. Let's find out who Jalen Milroe is. Because isn't that what we find out Rocky Top Saturday?
Yeah.
I think it is. I think that you have to pressure Jalen Milroe, and you have to show Tennessee, conversely, that you can run the football. Because when Jalen Milroe turns into an explosive football player, and that's all he's trying to do, they lose. They're not nearly as good when they are not in balance. And I think Jalen Milroe, the Heisman candidacy is probably over. Unless he just turns on the Jets and throws the ball all over the place and Bama wins everything from here to 4. Yeah, then maybe we can talk about him being in New York.
Right.
But right now, you have got to be, I think, the best version of yourself for Bama to win this game. I think that's the only thing that matters. And I'm just not sure that you can go to a place like Tennessee and use that as a proving ground.
Yeah, I completely agree. I don't think that I just need to see Bama turn it around. I mean, it's as simple as that. Like, let's not overcomplicate this. Tennessee is a damn good football team. They're explosive. They're hard to stop. That's a hostile environment. It's one of the best home field advantages in college football. And Alabama, hate to say it right now, but you're not the same guy you were. And you got to show us that you can go in and win a tough game. And I would agree that, for Jalen Milroe, the Heisman's probably gone, but I think the Heisman Trophy is hardly your concern right now. I think your season's on the line. I think when you look at the rest of your schedule and you look at the fact that, hey, it's at Tennessee, you're going to beat Missouri at Bryant-Denny, then you got to go to LSU. And you lose this game, and then you can't beat LSU, now you're out of the college football playoff.
And how can you turn Nehemiah Leva into a legitimate quarterback at Tennessee? I think the quarterbacks are what's going to determine this game. I know that's not earth-shattering analysis, but Nehemiah Leva is a guy that I think is one of the most inconsistent quarterbacks in a major program that we've seen.
Yeah.
And he cannot be the least effective quarterback in the SEC and expect them to win games.
Mm-hmm.
You just cannot. I think Alabama beating Georgia has got to happen again at Tennessee.
Yeah.
Because this is not an easy place to play. That place is going to be lit. And you're seeing something that does not happen very often. A home dog.
Yeah.
Tennessee, a home dog.
Which I'm a little surprised about. I got to be honest with you. I think that the boys in Vegas are playing on casual college football fans who are like, oh, it's Bama. They're going to beat the hell out of Tennessee. Nah, that's not the case. And I think that, they have to prove that they're still that team, that they're still a team that can go anywhere at any time and beat anybody, like they did against Georgia, like they've done in the past. And I'm telling you, this is Kalen DeBoer's first opportunity to show he's that guy at Alabama. This is a game where your season as a 2-loss team, you're still in the college football playoff. So technically, is your season on the line? No. But you lose this game, and now we're having a different conversation. Can't have
then South Carolina wasn't a fluke.
Yeah, we can't have, we can't, dude. If you're gonna play a 1-point game with Tennessee, you're losing this game. You're not winning this game. Like, you have to come out and control them.
And who's the better quarterback? Jalen Milroe is the better quarterback. Nehemiah Lava is a wildly talented guy, but you put that cat under pressure, he's going to dump the ball down and he's going to throw interceptions.
Yeah.
As simple as it is. Under pressure, he averages 4.7 yards of completion.
Mm-hmm.
You got to hit that dude. And Alabama's got the defense to hit that dude. You've got to get home on the quarterback. But I don't see this as some explosive, high-scoring game. I think these are two really good defenses. I think Tennessee's defense, for as much as Nico Iamaleava has struggled to be effective offensively, their defense is very athletic and very good.
Yeah, I mean, look at what they've given up. Like NC State in week 2, you only gave up 10 points. You gave up, you only gave up 15 points to Oklahoma. Like, you 17 points to Florida. Like, that's a good defense back there. No question about it.
I think this run defense for Alabama, which is one of the top 10 run defenses in the country, not great against the pass, but one of the top 10 run defenses in the country, has to force Iamaleava to throw the football.
Yeah.
And if you do that, good luck. You're not going to beat Alabama because they, in my opinion, Kalen DeBoer has a defense that can skies and scheme, and I think they have every opportunity to get home on it. And I think when you look at the way that you played against South Carolina, you played against Vandy, you look at the things that have gone wrong for Alabama this year. It's 100% that I believe it's 100% that you have shot yourself in the foot repeatedly trying to be somebody that you're not.
Yeah.
Let's see if they get back to their roots today. Because if you're Alabama, you're 5-1 and all is not lost. But I cannot believe that you struggled that much against South Carolina after losing to Vanderbilt. Show me that you're not those two teams. And I don't know if you can do that.
Yeah.
21-20, Tennessee wins. I'm taking Tennessee to win at home because I don't know that you can protect Jalen to the level that you need to. And if you do not sack the quarterback, if Nico Iamaleava does not go down, you're not going to win this game. And you've got to force him into turnovers. And I'm just not confident with what I've seen from the Vandy loss and the South Carolina win, barely, that this team can go to Neyland Stadium and win in front of a massive crowd that's going to be turned.
Yeah.
I'm taking Tennessee to win 21-20.
Yeah, if you're putting money on this game, you got to take Tennessee. I would and again, this is my point about the line. Like, the line being +3 for Tennessee, that's a money-making opportunity. Tennessee's going to cover that.
Yeah.
And, this over-under number at 55.5, now it's moved to 56.5 today. Like, people think there's going to be points scored in this game. So to me, my pick would be, I would go 28-27 Tennessee in a thriller. And I think they find a way to win.
28-27.
Yeah.
Tennessee.
Yeah, because at that point you're let me do some quick math because I'm garbage at math. 28 and 27 is 55. So you're right on.
I am going to take the under because I think this is going to be a wildly entertaining defensive. I know that most people probably don't give a rat's ass. Tennessee's defense is really good.
Yeah.
Tennessee's defense is the goods. So
they would be, to me, the only defense better than them that Bama has seen is Georgia. That's it.
Yeah. I think Tennessee wins this game. And then the one. And then the only. What a weekend in Austin.
Yeah.
This is arguably why Texas joined the SEC.
Yep.
You have F1 and you have the epicenter of the college football world in the same weekend in Austin, Texas. DKR is one of the best places for a big game. Austin is one of the best football towns. Matthew McConaughey smells because he doesn't wear deodorant. But man, is he a Texas honk. And this is the game we deserve every week. This is Bama, Georgia. This is Georgia, Texas. And it's one of those games in a quarterback's career where you can look back and say, man, I remember watching you against Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Quinn, when you folded like a lawn chair and the Manning kid had to come in and save your ass. I remember that game. That's not how it's going to go, but that's what you would remember had it gone this way.
Right.
I love Texas in this game because I don't like what I've seen out of Georgia's offense this year.
Mm-hmm.
That for me is something that is stuck in my craw. I look at the way that Texas went to Michigan and just dominated a really crappy Michigan team. Like, they're just not good. That wasn't a proving ground. Like, did you learn anything about Texas? Sure. They could go stand in front of a hostile crowd that wasn't really that hostile. And you could beat the hell out of a bad football team.
Yeah.
Okay. You had to do that. Big time TV, a lot of people watching. Texas made a point. But when I look at Georgia and I look at that Georgia-Bama game and I say to myself, what do we learn about Georgia in that game? It's not really what we learned about Georgia in that game. Carson Beck threw 3 really not great interceptions that day.
Yeah.
And the other thing that's so scary is Georgia was not able to run the football that day. And so I start saying to myself, is Trevor Etienne a guy that you're like, dude, game changer? Is he a guy that you're like, man, did you see him run for 35 yards against Mississippi State? Because I did, and I was not impressed. Did you see him run for 88 yards against a bad Auburn team?
Because it's garbage.
I did, and I was not impressed.
Yeah.
This Georgia offense isn't Ladd McConkey's Georgia offense. This Georgia offense is struggling under the weight of replacing the weapons that they have lost in Brock Bowers. They're not the same offense. And I think the Alabama game was in the exact right moment in time, because it gave you a chance to heal in front of Auburn and Mississippi State. Those are not good football teams before you head to Austin. And so I ask myself, okay, what did I really see in that game? Are Smith and Bell wide receivers where you're like, oh, yeah, I mean, they could start anywhere? Maybe. But are they really elite in elite moments against a defense that's well coached, 3 deep at every position, and just coming for that ass? Because that's who Texas is. I don't think they are. I think Texas is far better than Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of it is they're just way more potent on offense than the Dogs are.
Couldn't agree more, dude. I think that there's a dynamic at play that people, I think, aren't talking about a lot, and it's the changing of the guard in the SEC. Texas is going to move to 7-0 this week, 3-0 in conference. Bama and Georgia are both going to be 5-2 and 3-2 in conference. Texas will be head and shoulders above everybody. And the reason that I think they will dominate this game is because it's at home and they understand, Sark and company understand the implications in the conference. They understand, hey, if we can go out and we can not only win this game, but control this game, show a level of play that tells us, hey, Texas is truly the best team in the SEC, people are going to stop doubting them. We're not going to hear, is Texas the best team in the country anymore. They will be the best team in the country, and people will put respect on their name. And I think when you look at the last 5 for each of these teams, Texas is with, pretty consistently putting up 50 points.
Tested.
Like against other opposition. Like I look at this and I'm just like, I know it was UTSA and UL Monroe. It's still 50 points in a college football game. So to me, you're not putting up 50 against Georgia.
With your second quarterback, I'd remind you.
Who is better than your first quarterback, in my opinion. More talented, more explosive. So even if you did get to Quinn in this game, they got a guy behind him. So to me, this is my prediction for this is somewhere in the neighborhood of 40 to 43 points for Texas. And I think Georgia's going to be in the high 20s, 28 to 30.
I totally disagree. I think Georgia's done a great job protecting Carson Beck. They should be running the ball far better than they are. But Georgia's fast. And this Georgia defense has had really one bad half. Yeah, it turns out that was against Alabama in the first half. And Alabama beat your ass in that first half. But the thing that I think really separates these two teams is that Texas can play any style you want to play. You're not going to be able to beat them man up running the football. So you're going to have to throw the ball down the field. And that's where a very opportunistic, very fast, handsy Texas secondary and linebacking core are going to have to step up. This is not a 70-point game. Sorry, kids. This is going to disappoint you. It's going to be a high 50s game. Because I think you're looking at 27-24. You're looking at a lower scoring game because these are arguably the two best defenses in the country. And I look at what this Georgia defense has done. They had one bad half against Alabama. One. Now, that was the best offense they probably saw at that point, but they adjusted at half. Kirby Smart's a hell of a football coach. But talent wins games like this. You can coach them, you can prepare them, but when you snap the football, guys are going to run routes and dudes are going to have to cover them. And that's why Texas is going to win this game. And I think it's going to be very close. I think that when I look at some of the things in this game and I look at some of the ways that Texas will win this game, I am very curious to see what Quinn Ewers does and how healthy Quinn Ewers is. I think he is going to have his finest day. And that's going to be 280 yards. Georgia's defense is not going to scare Quinn Ewers. They're not, because that massive rush where you're always under pressure, that's not who Georgia is this year. They don't have that blow up your offensive line defensive tackle.
Right.
But they have enough to make you nervous. But Quinn Ewers is a guy who completes a nice percentage. He puts his ball placement is really strong. But is he that guy tomorrow? I think he is. And I think that's why you're going to have to show that Quinn Ewers is capable of beating Georgia's secondary. And I think he is. And I think Texas is the best team in the country. But I think this is going to be mighty close. If a team scores 30 points, they win the game. And I think that's why I'm going to take Texas 27-24, 30-27, something like that. Lower score, high 50s total. It's in Austin. Crowd's jacked. McConaughey's going to smell terrible. And I think Texas wins by a field goal.
Kirby Smart's 2-4 against the top 5. 0-3 versus Bama. This game is on the road for Georgia, just the same way it was on the road for Georgia against Alabama. I don't trust Kirby Smart to prepare his team for big games like this on the road. At home's a different story. We're not talking about it at home. So, hey, if they're talented enough to win the ball game, I'm not saying that they're
Georgia.
Yeah, Georgia's talented enough to win the ball game. There's no question about it. But Kirby has not shown me an ability to prepare his team for big games like this. And that's where I say I don't disagree with anything you're saying. I just think that Texas is going to have a ball out performance. I think Texas is going to show us, hey, we are the best team, and here's why. And that's why I have, that's why I have it 40-28 type game. Because I just think that this is really Texas's first opportunity to do this to someone of this stature this year.
I think it's going to be close. Could I see a blowout for Texas? I can't. Georgia's too talented. Georgia's too good. They're ready. They.
Do you have concerns about Kirby in big games like this? I mean,
I don't.
Yeah.
I think he's won the national championships. He's won the big games. I agree. It was a little shocking to see the defense be so bad in the first half against Bama.
Yeah.
Because it was bad. They just didn't get off the bus until halftime.
And it would be surprising if that happened again. I will say that. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I have faith in Texas. A lot of faith in Texas in that offense.
I think the defensive line has to show that they're this ready. And Bemis, I understand your pick. You're not 10 points better than Georgia. I don't know that anybody's 10 points better than Georgia. And I want to see Quinn Ewers be healthy, because as much as I like Arch, this is a game that you don't put rookies into this game. This is a game where you need a guy who's done it. And Quinn Ewers has done it. And
I would agree with that. Yeah.
Jay McClanahan says Texas 35, Georgia 24. UW fan Jim, Sark has Sark won a big game yet? Yeah, I think he has.
Yeah, he went on the road and beat Bama last year.
I
He's
think he
shown
has.
He can do this.
I absolutely think he has. Delaric, also, Texas is super deep on rosters, so any injury is like, okay, he's hurt, next one up, unlike a lot of other teams. And their defense, Pete Kwiatkowski is
stud, dude.
A great defensive
But
coordinator.
to this point, I'd also say Georgia's the same way, though. Let's not discount Georgia's depth. Georgia is deep.
There's not a talent disparity here.
I mean, they're basically on the same level.
Where your elites are, okay, that's different. I don't think that Georgia's shown that their front four is awesome. Game-changing, disruptors. We haven't seen that out of Georgia's front this year.
And I do think at quarterback, it's a serious question. Who has the better day? Because Carson Beck has shown us he can have big games.
Oh, yeah.
But
they haven't run the ball well at all.
Yeah, he's also shown us the other side. So, Quinn's been hurt a little bit this year, inconsistent playing time.
If he wins this game, if Carson Beck wins this game, he's the front runner for the Heisman.
Yeah.
And this is the Ashton Ginty argument.
Yeah.
Ashton Ginty doesn't have Texas at DKR. Ashton Ginty doesn't have Bama. It's
a privilege to play in these kind of games.
Yes, it is. And it's why you earn all that NIL money. You know what I'm saying? Bovine 1, Mike Gundy none, barbecue after party. So many BYU. I'm warning you, BYU fan. Please hear me. You have accomplished nothing. And I love
you to listen to me.
I love my BYU fan base. We have a ton of BYU fans that listen to this show. I am begging you. I am begging you to understand you haven't done anything.
It's true.
6-0 is great. You're only halfway through the season. Job's not finished.
Yeah.
You haven't done anything, and the arrogance and the mouthing off. Save that for December. Save that for after the Holy War.
Yeah.
You have done nothing. You have won nothing. You have not proven anything. Because you've got games left to play.
And a lot of them.
And quality games left to play. And I listen, I understand it. Utah's down. They're hurting. They've lost 2 games. You're undefeated. I get it. Go ahead and write off Oak State and see what happens. Go ahead and look down to the Holy War. See what happens. Lose the next 2 going into Utah. See what happens. That's not how you want to do this. Zip it. Be loud tomorrow or tonight in Provo. Get crazy. Celebrate after the game, then go to church on Sunday and look forward. Because then now you have another game.
God bless.
And I understand, BYU fan. Listen, I do. This is redemption. But it was redemption Saturday afternoon. That or Sunday, or Saturday night, whatever it was against Arizona. Redemption. You felt good.
Saturday afternoon.
You got to go to Orlando next weekend. I'm warning you. And I'm hoping that I never have to say I warned you, but I'm warning you.
Yeah.
Job's not finished. You have got Oak State at UCF, at Utah, Kansas, at Arizona State, and Houston. Do you have a chance to win every one of those games? You do. But you got to beat Oak State first. So settle down, Sparky. Jay Hill ain't scared of Isaac Wilson. You shouldn't be worried about Isaac Wilson. You should be worried about Garrett Rangel. My point exactly. Be worried about Garrett Rangel. Don't be worried about Isaac Wilson. That's 3 weeks away. Be worried about KJ Jefferson. Sunday morning, be worried about KJ Jefferson. Right now, be focused on Garrett Rangel.
Yeah, be worried about RJ Harvey.
Next week, worry about RJ Harvey. Be worried about Ollie Gordon. I'm telling you, man, like it is so amazing to me that BYU fan has lost all perspective getting drunk on the wins. I'm not trying to rain on your parade.
Yeah,
I'm not.
I don't have a problem with BYU fan being confident about this game tonight. I don't have a problem with that.
As you should be.
You should win this game tonight. I agree with that. But I also agree that it's dangerous to overlook teams. I think that you're going to be fine tonight. This cat hasn't played. Like you should be fine. But UCF is a team that's incredibly inconsistent. One week they'll run all over your ass and punch you in the face. The next week you can run all over them and they might as well have not gotten off the bus. And if you think, and this is something I don't think BYU fan considers, if you think that other teams on your schedule aren't listening to the noise and the junk and the nonsense you're talking about, I just think you're short-sighted. I think you don't understand. And I think that UCF would love nothing more, and frankly, the mullet would love nothing more than to come to your house and ruin your Cinderella story. Because that's what this is so far. Let's be honest. This is a Cinderella story, right? Nobody expected BYU to be here. Nobody had you at 6 wins halfway through Big 12 play. Nobody. And obviously you're bowl eligible, and for a BYU fan, that's not happened with regularity for you, with all due respect. So being bowl eligible at this point is great. That's awesome. But just focus on this game at hand. Just stay right here. Hey, we should beat Oklahoma State, and here's why. Completely agree. Stop right there. That's it.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't worry about UCF until you beat Oak State. Let's talk about UCF tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Job's not done. Job's not done. Kirk Mason, take it one game at a time. Yes.
Yeah.
Tanner Plummer. LOL, Marty projecting his abusive relationship with Notre Dame on us Y fans.
No, you guys are projecting your overconfidence and setting yourself up to be disappointed.
Chrissy, UCF got a QB that can sling the ball. Ja'Cory Brown took KJ Jefferson's job. Not yet. We'll see. Just enjoy the journey 1 week at a time. Harry Austin. Ollie, who I remember a great Ollie last year, but this year, who is this Ollie you are saying?
Yeah, that's fine. Talk junk about Oklahoma State.
Their
that's
offensive
fine.
line has not been able to. Their offensive line, their wide receivers don't block well. They don't use the tight end. Yeah. Mayor McCluskey, Jay Hill ain't scared of Ollie Gordon. To be honest, the mayor is nervous about every game. It's BYU for crying out loud. Well, there is that. Cougs Johnson, while Monty is right, I looked up stats, and BYU hasn't had a top 10 season since 96. My crappy Washington State football has 5 of them since then. There you go. UW fan Jim, like Jake said yesterday, coaches have to take it one game at a time. Fans can speculate all they want.
And that's fair.
Okay.
But, again, that doesn't work both ways, though. If you speculate and go further, you're going to be disappointed.
Delaric, BYU is having a great season, but remember the best team you have played is SMU. Well, K-State.
K-State's the best team you played, yeah.
Yeah. I think so. What bowl eligibility has been a regular thing for BYU? It has been. I think it has. Bowl eligibility has been a regular thing. I mean, the problem is BYU's never had this much talent that has been this well coached, especially on the defensive side. And the wide receivers, the depth at running back, the offensive line. I mean, Connor Pay's out, and you're still doing well up front.
Yeah.
That's your heart and soul of that offensive line, and he's out. He's an All-American.
Right.
And he's out. So,
yeah.
Caleb Aylmore. Gundy would do that to both fan bases, steal your fun away and give us false hope after the bye.
Yeah.
You beat BYU. Do you feel like your season's saved? Delaric, I think K-State is overrated this year. I would not agree with that. I think they're the 3rd best team in the league. But
yeah, I think that if you look at BYU's wins, okay, sure. Have you been bowl eligible most of the time? Yes. But at the same time, you've questioned that for entire seasons and only became bowl eligible the last week of the year multiple times. Like look at the 20 teens. 2018 7-6, 2019 7-6. 2023 5-7. Like, yeah, you did have a couple years there with Zach Wilson where you were a 10, 11 win team, but you also had the pandemic a little bit. There's some things. So I'm just saying, like, it's you feel good because you don't have to talk about being bowl eligible anymore. Like, that's done. You don't have to wait till December to talk about that. And I get that. And I would be feeling good too. But I think that what we need to be saying about K-State is, hey, K-State came in and just was shell-shocked.
And ran all over you.
Yeah, like you like K-State just wasn't prepared for the environment.
I think the other thing when you talk about teams like K-State, and I'm not trying to slight BYU. I think BYU is a very good football team. But how many of these teams took BYU lightly?
Yeah, probably a good portion of them. K-State did for sure. You could see it.
K-State was shell-shocked.
Yeah.
And the turnovers. And again, anytime K-State's in a position where Avery Johnson has to throw the ball to win the game, you're going to lose. He's not capable. If K-State is trailing and can't control the clock with the run game, you're going to lose. We saw that in Boulder last week.
Yeah.
I mean, that it again, and confirmed that Jimmy Horn and Travis Hunter are playing for Colorado this week. So we'll see. BYU 31, Oak State 21. Rangel will play well, but the Cowboys can't stop the run. BYU also throws to their tight end, which Oak State does not. Well, a little bit. Keanu Hill's not really a tight end. Derek Snyder, random UNLV homer question.
Okay, here, let me
guys.
Let me get this. Let me get the drop pulled out for you, since you're.
Okay, go ahead. You're a homer is the first part.
Yeah, right. Go ahead and pull it out.
Yeah.
If UNLV were in the Big 12,
okay,
I hate.
They're not gonna be though, bro.
If UNLV were in the Big 12, where would you rank them in conference this
Last.
season? I think that's so difficult to even. I don't know how do you even begin to.
And let me ask you this: why does this matter to you so much as a UNLV fan? What like
I'd have to look at your offensive efficiency. Like, I think it's. I mean, obviously, you lost to Syracuse. Your wins are Houston, Utah Tech, Kansas, Fresno State. I mean, do you have a quality win? I don't know that you have a quality win. I mean, and Oregon State probably represents your biggest challenge this year. I think we could all agree on that. Houston's not good. Utah Tech, even though we always joke. Kansas is not good. Fresno State, isn't Fresno State a 500 team this year? Syracuse is, I mean, obviously scoring points. And Utah State's terrible. So in your wins, you're playing bad teams, and now you've got Oregon State, Boise, at Hawaii, San Diego, who's actually 2-0 in conference, I think. San Jose State and Nevada. Here's the problem: if you lose to Oregon State and Boise State and you win out, did you have a good season? If you look at it objectively, probably not. I mean, Oregon State. The interesting thing about Oregon State is that Oregon State has beaten Idaho State, San Diego State, and got absolutely taken apart at the joints by Oregon. They beat Purdue, Colorado State, and lost to Nevada, which is not good. So shouldn't we expect UNLV to beat Oregon State? I would think so. I don't think I could answer that question without more time. I'd have to look at a lot of different numbers, and I'd need to understand exactly.
Yeah, I just don't know why we need to.
Yeah.
We need to have that conversation.
Yeah, I would agree. Caleb Aylmore, I wouldn't say the season is saved, no, but he does like to overachieve after being booty cheeks. Okay. Booty cheeks. BYU has the talent to compete in the Big 12 title, but they would have to play flawless. I would agree. Damian Fowler, homerism, what a great thing.
You're a homer is the first part.
If they beat Oregon State tomorrow, I'd rank UNLV number 3 in the Big 12 this year.
Stop, dude.
If they beat Boise State number 1, tell me you don't watch Big 12 football.
Yeah, come on.
Guys. You're a homer. Exactly.
You're a homer.
Mayor McCluskey. Guys. If Tom Brady played for BYU, where would they rank in the SEC? Come on. Tanner, yeah, that sleeping giant in St. George is still sleepy. Got to get into a bigger conference. Capazzo, that UNLV win over Dixie State was a quality win.
Yeah, really, man, dude. Just
maybe it is from now on Red Ass Friday.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's kind of what it's been. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Who do I know? The Monty Show is always presented by The Advocates at theadvocates.com. The best injury attorneys in the business. Hands down. The Advocates at theadvocates.com. Chat with an injury attorney live online for free 24/7, 365. And it won't cost you a dime. Theadvocates.com. Until tomorrow, enjoy football. And then Monday. All right, I'm out.